Welcome to a world where the weak lose everything in a heartbeat, from their wealth and status, down to their very own pathetic lives. Truly is a cursed, rotten world. Amidst a sea of quicksand that buries all hope, our young man Zeon is gritting his teeth, struggling and desperately clawing forward in utter helplessness. And so, at this very moment, our boy is facing a bitter end. A massive maw, lined with the razor-sharp teeth of a desert monster, bursts from the ground, swallowing both the armored vehicle and the unlucky kid whole. Watching death lunge at him, Zeon can only think in despair. I'm dying because I'm weak. How did things end up like this? About 100 years ago, a terrifying, blinding light from some unknown corner of the universe struck Earth. That deadly light ruthlessly began devouring every living creature on the planet. The beautiful blue planet that was once a peaceful home to all species was soon scorched to a crisp, turning into a colossal desert graveyard. Faced with this apocalyptic disaster, the lucky few who survived could only do one thing: build their own fortresses, huddling together to survive day by day amidst gigantic, rusting structures. Back to the present on a moving vehicle, Zeon, our protagonist with heavily bandaged arms, crosses his arms and glares out the window with a piercing gaze. He smacks his lips, complaining sarcastically, "If they were going to destroy it, they should have finished the job. Why leave behind insects like us?" The moment those words leave his mouth, an arm as thick as a log flies out of nowhere, delivering a devastating punch to Zeon's face, smashing his head right into the vehicle's wall. The culprit is a hulking brute, baring his jagged teeth in a mocking grin. Whoops! My hand slipped. This muscular thug with piss-yellow hair, ears full of piercings, and arms covered in tattoos acts as if it was a total accident. He raises his hands in mock apology, but his face remains arrogant. My bad. Tell me your name so I can apologize properly." Zeon clutches his swollen face, glaring at the scum in front of him, gritting out a single word: Zeon. Hearing this, the blonde brute bursts into raucous laughter that echoes throughout the cabin, his lackeys eagerly joining in. Huh? Just a first name? Is it because you're a bastard who doesn't even know his own daddy? Zeon silently bites his lip, enduring the humiliation, his eyes burning with resentment. Seeing this, the thug pushes his luck, continuing his mockery. "Oh, look at this little punk. You getting mad? Talk about bad luck being stuck with absolute scum." The bastards on this or transport bus usually share one common trait. The musclehead throws an arm around Zeon's shoulders, pinning the scrawny kid to the corner of the seat, grinning sickeningly as he advises, "Fix that face. We're riding together, so let's be friends. All right?" Zeon glances over, his mind racing. Not a single one of them is actually a minor. He sarcastically asks the guy holding him, "What did you get busted for?" They're either criminals or fugitives. It's always one of the two. Zeon smirks, delivering his verdict: assault? Fraud? Theft? If I had to guess. Before the guy can even react, Zeon clenches his fist and channels all his might into a straight punch right to the brute's face. The powerful blow sends the massive guy flying, landing flat on his back on the floor with his legs in the air, looking incredibly pathetic. Zeon shoots up, shaking his stinging hand, glaring down at the floored thug with murderous intent. "You're wrong, idiot. You want me to tell you?" Zeon roars, unleashing all his pent-up fury. It's murder. Despite talking tough, deep down Zeon knows that, technically, he's never killed anyone. He recalls the scenery of a darkness-shrouded Neo-Soul, a place where only those with power are considered human. Zeon flashes back to an unlucky night in a narrow alley. Some random thug tried to rob him. During the struggle, the guy fell and cracked his head on the ground. It was nothing special. Who cares about a piece of trash in a landfill? A rat came to steal my stuff and died by accident. Looking at the corpse lying in a pool of blood, Zeon panicked upon hearing the guy's final words. "Damn it, I didn't know it was a pet rat." The dying man wheezed with his last breath. "My older brother is Lee Jiryong. You hear me? You're dead meat, you idiot." Just hearing the name Li Jiryong is enough to make Xion's face turn pale with terror. Li Jiryong. If those with power are considered human, then awakeners are the gods standing above all. And Li Jiryong is a god wielding formidable lightning powers. A measly rat like me offended a god. Rumors spread that Li Jiryong was looking for me. By the time I came to my senses, I had already crawled onto this or bus. Imagining being hunted down by a god, beads of cold sweat pour down Xion's forehead. Lost in his haunting memories, a voice snaps Xion back to reality. Hey! Xion startles and turns around, his face still dotted with sweat from the recent exertion. He looks down in surprise. The massive guy who just took the punch slowly stands up, his face covered in blood, even though the imprint of Xion's fist is still visible on his cheek. His sickening grin hasn't faded. He glares at Xion with bloodshot eyes and asks, "Are you done?" Looking at his own hand, Xion asks himself in shock, "What the hell? Why is my hand bleeding?" Impossible. In that brief moment of confusion, the brute's massive hand is already right in his face. He throws a devastating swing at Xion. The terrifying force sends the boy's scrawny body flying backward. Xion's back slams hard against the bus floor, his mouth gaping open in agony. The man slowly approaches, cracking his knuckles. "You should have told me sooner. I'm here for the same reason. I might have even treated you like a cute little brother, you know? But you crossed the line." Pinned to the floor, Xion grits his teeth, his eyes filled with extreme fury and despair. Damn it! Damn it! I ran away to escape the Awakeners? Are you kidding me? Damn it! After everything I did, after all the struggles I went through, fuck! Of all people, why did it have to be him? The man's body begins radiating a fiery orange energy, sparks dancing around him. Looks like you need a lesson from your big bro. Everyone agrees, right? The surrounding thugs cheer and hoot, while Xion horrifyingly realizes the bitter truth. He's an Awakener. Suddenly, the bus swerves violently, tossing everyone inside off balance from the fierce tremors coming from outside. The transport bus abruptly loses control, flipping over and free-falling into a giant sinkhole in the sand. The passengers are tossed around like ragdolls. The big guy, clutching his bloody head, screams at the driver, "What the hell is this? Hey! Watch where you're driving." Slumped over the steering wheel, the driver mutters back with a lifeless expression, "It's not." The big guy barks angrily, "What the hell are you mumbling about?" The driver continues in sheer hopelessness, "No." Ignoring the surrounding chaos, the driver keeps repeating his desperate words, "We're not. I'm telling you, we're not. We're not heading to the mines at all." The big guy freezes, a sense of dread washing over him. "What? Did you just—" With tears streaming down his face, the driver trembles as he blurts out, "We're being—" At the bottom of the pit lies the gigantic maw of a desert worm, bristling with thousands of sharp teeth, creating a vortex to devour everything. Eaten alive, the thugs pile on top of each other, thrashing in absolute panic as the bus plummets straight into the jaws of death. Xion is thrown out, flailing in the quicksand. He thinks bitterly, looking back, it's always been the same vicious cycle. Childhood memories of the slums rush back. Whether it was in Neo Soul or facing an Awakener, or even getting swallowed by a desert worm, none of this is out of the ordinary. Xion screams helplessly, reaching up toward the shrinking sky. In this world, the strong taking from the weak is just the natural order. Tears well up in the corners of his eyes as he bitterly accepts reality. So, the truth is, I'm dying. Xion's arm reaches for the last ray of light before the massive maw snaps shut. Just because I'm weak, worthless trash. Complete darkness engulfs him. It's such a cliché and predictable story. It makes me want to yawn. I could always imagine it. The delusion that if I were just a little bit stronger, I wouldn't die like this. Well, now it's all just meaningless rambling. Xion's hand sinks entirely into the freezing sand. The sand fills in, stripping away his last bit of oxygen and life. Suddenly, the sand begins to swirl, converging around his arm. Xion's eyes snap wide open, a brilliant, mysterious golden light erupting from within. The flow of sand slowly pushes Xion upward. He bursts forth from the surface. Xion throws his head back to the sky, desperately gasping for air to fill his near-bursting lungs. At this exact moment, the entire network of veins and mana circuits within his body lights up. Familiar images flash before his eyes. The ruins of a colossal statue buried in the sand. Xion's eyes widen, overwhelmed by what he's seeing. A rusted Eiffel Tower, piercing straight into the desolate sea of sand. An entire great city of humanity, now nothing but crumbling ruins beneath a burning sky. A sharp golden glint flashes deep within Xion's eyes. The fragments of the old world completely collapse. Xion's lips are parched as he witnesses these visions. The image of Earth, reduced to an arid marble of sand floating in space, materializes in his mind. From Xion's eyes, a blinding light erupts out of nowhere. His power awakens. Xion waves his hand, commanding the violently surging sand as if he's done it his whole life. He shouts, "Sand blast!" Instantly, the sand stream, carrying terrifying pressure, blasts a massive hole right through the monster's thick hide. Black monster blood oozes out as Xion declares with unwavering resolve, "I will survive." His face smeared with monster blood, his eyes show not a hint of fear. In this damned world, where everything has turned to sand, Xion steps out proudly from the giant beast's belly. No matter what happens, his radiant golden eyes emit an oppressive, murderous aura. He glares at the colossal monster currently turning its gigantic flaming maw toward him. "I will survive." Power enveloping his body, Xion stares intently at his own hands. "My heartbeat, I can feel it so clearly. Every cell in my body is surging with energy." Clenching his energy-infused fists, Xion is astonished by the change in his body. So this is awakening. But before he can enjoy his badass moment for long, a massive dark shadow blots out the sun. The desert worm isn't fully dead yet. It looms upward. Its gigantic maw reaches high, casting a heavy shadow over Xion as if intending to swallow him all over again. Xion steps back into a fighting stance, glaring at the beast, ready to fight tooth and nail. "All right then, bring it on." He poses, ready to test his new power, muttering, "You'll be my test subject." Suddenly, a strange man appears right in front of Xion, shoving him out of the way with a badass remark, "You're in the way." Xion's pupils shrink in extreme shock. This guy's speed is completely beyond his realm of perception. The impact sends him flying into the air, tumbling out of control amidst geysers of exploding sand. He faceplants into the sand, looking completely miserable. Struggling to get up and spitting out a mouthful of sand, Xion looks forward in a panic. "Damn it! That guy! Since when did he?" Xion's face goes slack at the sight before him. "Get so close to me?" Black blood erupts like a fountain as a giant sword is driven deep into the monster's head. The man's voice rings out arrogantly. "What did you eat to grow so fast? Being up this high is scary, so..." The guy casually stands with his arms crossed on the colossal beast's body. "How about you head back down?" He winds up and delivers a devastating stomp straight onto the sword's hilt, forcing it even deeper. Going down to the ground floor. The desert worm's entire body is slammed into the earth, cratering deep into the ground and creating an impact that shakes the whole desert. Xion stares wide-eyed at the scene, throwing his arms up to shield himself from the shockwave as he exclaims in awe, "That's insane!" Still reeling from the shock, Xion continues to marvel. He took down a desert worm that easily? The captain, trying to yank his sword out of the monster's corpse, mutters, "It's stuck tight." Xion's eyes don't leave the man. "So this is an awakener." Xion's jaw drops. "I've never seen an awakener like that." A blue-haired girl, appearing out of nowhere, throws a friendly arm around Zeon and proudly introduces him. That's our captain, Jang Yongbyum. Zeon sweats profusely, utterly bewildered. What? The girl cheerfully hangs onto Zeon, continuing her giddy chatter. That's our captain. Wasn't this his fastest kill yet? Zeon sweats even more at her phantom-like speed. Since when did she get here? Zeon can feel the immense pressure radiating from the girl next to him. She's incredibly strong despite her looks. Suddenly noticing something wrong, he cries out in a panic. Wait, hold on. Is my arm freezing? Resting his giant sword on his shoulder, the captain casually walks over. A desert worm isn't exactly a tough opponent, and Giselle, the blue-haired girl, turns around, beaming as she responds. Yes, Captain. Captain Jang Yongbyum narrows his eyes, shooting a cold, sharp glare at the two people making a racket in the middle of the desert. Seeing his subordinate messing around with the mysterious kid's arm, he sighs helplessly. Meanwhile, a struggling Zeon yells, Hey, stop it! Giselle flashes a wide grin, giving a wildly radiant military salute to answer her boss. Completely ignoring him, Giselle grips Zeon's arm tightly and violently flings the scrawny kid into the air. She violently pins Zeon down into the sand, yet her face remains as cheerful as ever. Zeon's back slams hard into the ground. In so much pain he can only grit his teeth and bear it. Ignoring her struggling victim, Giselle excitedly tears the bandages off Zeon's arm. Now then, what are this buddy's rank and abilities? Let's find out, shall we? A round of applause, please. Giselle stares blankly at Zeon's bony arm, her smile instantly vanishing.
Tajda.
Wait! Pinned flat on the ground, Zeon snaps. What? You're being ridiculous. At the same time, a baffled Giselle calls out to her boss. Captain, this guy, is he not an awakener? Zeon thrashes his freezing arm, screaming tragically, Damn it! My arm! My arm! Giselle keeps him pinned down, turning her head to state firmly to the captain, Look for yourself. He doesn't have a rank badge. Biting down on sand, Zeon grimaces in sheer frustration, thinking to himself, No rank badge? Are you blind? There's no such thing as an awakener without one. From the window of a nearby parked armored vehicle, a guy with glasses pokes his head out and frantically yells, Stop dragging your feet. I told you it's almost sunset. Hurry up. Giselle grabs Zeon by the shoulder, looking up at her boss. Captain, what should we do with him? He'll die if we just dump him here. Zeon grits his teeth, glaring at her, thinking bitterly, So carefree. Right after almost ripping my arm off. Captain Jang Yongbyum narrows his eyes at Zeon, evaluating the battered kid before him with an incredibly calm demeanor. Zeon tensely meets the cold, sharp gaze of the strong, holding his breath as he waits for the verdict on his fate. Jang Yongbyum jerks his chin, ordering, Throw him in the back. He was probably heading to the mines anyway. Without a word, Giselle hoists Zeon into the air like a torn sack of potatoes, grinning widely as she replies, Roger that, boss. The armored vehicle revs its engine, tearing up the sand as it speeds across the arid wasteland under a gradually darkening sky. Inside the cockpit, the bespectacled guy keeps nagging the captain. I'm saying, why do you always insist on going solo? I told you. Sunset. It's almost sunset. Don't act like you can't hear me. Tuning out the complaints, Jang Yongbyum casually asks, How much longer until we reach the mines? The glasses guy angrily waves his hands and yells, Don't change the subject. What if the sun sets? The captain ignores him, smirking as he mutters, This ride is surprisingly smooth. In the cargo hold in the back, Zeon, with his hands bound tightly, is bouncing violently among uneven steel drums. He curses resentfully in his head. It's the same every single time. Lying flat on the rust-reeking floor of the vehicle, Zeon's eyes suddenly become incredibly calm. He starts playing with the sand like it's the most natural thing in the world. He centers his mind, focusing on feeling every single grain of sand. This miraculous connection is entirely real. Zeon sits bolt upright, staring intently at his bound hands, evaluating the situation. Seeing the sand move at my will, I've definitely awakened my powers. He twists his wrists, frowning in confusion. But why couldn't they see my rank badge? Now that I think about it, the color was a bit different too. Was it orange? No. Light reflects off his scrawny forearm, revealing faint badge lines. It's the exact same color as the sand. He ponders, piecing together his meager knowledge of this world. The light of the rank badge corresponds to an awakener's ability type. An image of Giselle flashes through his mind. The magic system is blue, followed by Captain Jang Yongbyum's battle-hardened face. The combat system is red. The flow of sand continues to swirl, wrapping around Zeon's tied wrists. I've heard there are other types of awakeners, but... Suddenly, the sand bursts forth, aggressively enveloping his body with raw power. The ability to control sand? I've never even heard of that before. Zeon closes his eyes, savoring the boiling energy coursing through his veins. My badge displays an F rank, the absolute lowest, but I can feel it. This power holds limitless potential. Just like this very desert. The corner of Zeon's mouth curls up into an arrogant smirk. He retracts the sand, calculating his next move. I'll wait until this power truly belongs to me. I will hide it and endure until the time is ripe. Raising a globe made of sand in the palm of his hand, ambition ignites within him. This entire desert. No, this whole world will become my stage. The vehicle finally comes to a halt in front of a colossal industrial mine, nestled among jagged, razor-sharp cliffs. Zeon stands up to observe. So this is the magic crystal mine. There's a checkpoint. So far, everything seems pretty normal. A guard jerks his chin and barks at him. Hey, you, follow me. Zeon calmly reminds him. You haven't untied me yet. The guard snaps. Shut your trap before I tie that up too. The guard sullenly escorts Zeon inside, turning his head to respectfully shout back, Yes, sir. Watching Zeon's back, Captain Jang Yongbyum crosses his arms and mutters, Something's definitely off. Giselle casually stretches and lets out a long yawn. Because he was the only survivor? Don't overthink it. It was probably just dumb luck. Jang Yongbyum's gaze hardens. No. That wasn't luck. He frowns, scrutinizing the situation. Just who exactly? Recalling the massive, black blood oozing whole-blown from the inside of the desert worm's corpse, he wonders, Is that Punk? Captain Jang Yongbyum stares toward the mine's entrance, thinking to himself, I should have asked for his name. I have a feeling our paths will cross again. The inside of the mine isn't dark at all, unlike what one might expect. It looks exactly like a bustling underground district, brightly lit and teeming with all sorts of shady characters. Groups of workers and mercenaries gather to eat and drink, laughing raucously around cluttered iron tables. Ignoring the lively scene, Zeon turns to the guard and comments, I thought mines were just a bunch of tunnels, but you guys have everything down here. Looks like people actually live here. The gruff guard draws his gun, firing a single shot that cleanly severs the rope binding Zeon's hands, then barks, Shut your mouth. Stay quiet and wait here until the supervisor arrives. Seeing the guard about to walk away, Zeon quickly calls out, Hold on, you're just going to leave me here like this? The guard snaps back, still brandishing his gun. What? You want me to put a bullet in your head before I go? He sneers disdainfully and walks off. Do whatever the hell you want. As if a measly rat like you could actually pull anything off. Waiting for the guard to disappear, Zeon smacks his lips and curses under his breath. Idiot! He casually looks around. Well, since I'm starving and have some time to kill, is there anywhere to grab a bite around here? Suddenly, his gaze locks onto something. Oh! Drawn in by the mouth-watering scent of grilled meat wafting from a street stall, Zeon strolls over. Excuse me, could I ask? Before he can finish his sentence, Zeon's pupils shrink abruptly, his eyes filling with a mix of astonishment and horror. Striking his sight is a massive propaganda poster plastered on the wall. It depicts miners hoisting a glowing crystal high into the air, accompanied by an incredibly ironic slogan, "Let our labor illuminate Neo's soul." From the grill, an old man hands Zeon a glass of water, chuckling sarcastically. "What do you think? Very inspiring, isn't it?" He taps his gnarly, veiny fingers rhythmically against the table. "Yeah, to the point of being ridiculous. Truly is. But the real energy source of Neo's soul isn't mana stones." Zeon asks while wolfing down a skewer of grilled meat. "What are you talking about? If it's not mana stones, then what is it?" The old man suddenly points a finger straight at Zeon's face. "You!" His smile grows increasingly twisted. "Rats like you are the true fuel. You follow orders, and when we bleed you dry, more of you will just crawl right in to fill the gap. Could there possibly be a better source of energy than that?" Zeon nonchalantly takes another bite of meat. "We just met, and you already have so much to say. At your age, shouldn't you be busy preparing for the afterlife?" The old man laughs heartily. "When you get to my age, you'll find everything interesting." Suddenly, the old man leans in and asks a razor-sharp question. "So, how was it inside that desert worm? Did it feel like returning to the womb?" Zeon freezes, the skewer still in his mouth. "Word got to him that fast?" The old man throws his head back and roars with laughter. "You pitiful punk. Pretty soon you'll end up as desert worm shit anyway. This place isn't some safe haven you can just casually escape to." Zeon furrows his brows and retorts, "Safe haven? I'm just here to make some quick cash." The old man smirks. "Ridiculous. Let me show you something interesting. Look over there." Following the direction of the old man's thumb, Zeon sees a row of shabby iron shelves, piled high with dull, dust-covered cardboard boxes. Zeon stares at the dented cardboard boxes and frowns, asking back, "Are you going senile? What's so interesting about a pile of garbage? What the hell are they, anyway?" The old man smiles mysteriously. "Those are things I've collected, little by little." The old man's eyes turn ice-cold, his smile growing even more cunning. "They're the belongings of the ones who came before you, and they are also your very future." The old man's voice drones on, like he's recounting a familiar horror story. "Anyone who comes here initially tries to resist going down into the mines. But you know perfectly well, don't you? That's the very nature of a mana stone mine. Terrified of the death lurking in those underground tunnels, they sell every single thing they've scraped together just to survive." The old man emphasizes, "They'd even sell their own souls. But all they're doing is delaying the inevitable." He smacks his lips. "Things never get any better. Whatever meager possessions they have left slowly slip through their fingers. In the end, they all share the exact same fate." The old man casually mocks human despair. They delude themselves into thinking it's just easier to let the mind swallow them whole. Sitting comfortably in his chair, the old man smirks in contempt. "They say a man leaves his name behind when he dies. But trash like you? You'll leave behind nothing but a pile of garbage." Zeon grinds his teeth, glaring fiercely at the old man, his hand gripping the meat skewer tightly. The old man drops one final, chilling remark. "I can't wait to see what you'll leave behind." Unable to take it anymore, Zeon slams the skewer down on the iron table. "Whatever. How much do I owe you?" The old man bares his yellowed teeth in a bright smile, boldly ripping him off. 10 souls. Zeon lunges forward, yelling right in the old man's face. "Are you out of your mind? Was this meat sprinkled with gold or something?" The old man calmly spreads his hands to explain. "Everything in this place is a luxury. That skewer you just threw away is already worth 9 souls on its own." Zeon sneers, trying to haggle his way out. "Ah, this meat is dirt cheap, actually. Look, I don't have that kind of money." Seeing the old man unfazed, he loudly calls out his bluff. "You're obviously just trying to scam the new guy. Have you lost your mind? 10 souls? Give me a break." The old man doesn't even bother replying. From behind, a group of hulking, mean-looking thugs brandishing meat cleavers steps out, completely surrounding the boy. Despite sweating bullets at the sight of the armed gangsters, Zeon stubbornly continues arguing. I'm not paying a single dime, so just... Before he can finish, he suddenly senses a heavy, murderous aura pressing in from directly behind him. Zeon whips his head around, his pupils shrinking in shock, having completely lost the upper hand. Resting his chin on his hand, the old man looks at Zeon with a bone-chillingly sinister smile and leisurely explains, "Didn't you find it strange? How an old man like me could run a business in a place like this mine?" Axes and cleavers surround him from all sides. The assassins lurking in the shadows simultaneously point their razor-sharp blades, slowly tightening their perimeter around the kid. The old man interlocks his fingers, his eyes full of triumph as he delivers a lethal taunt. "Now then, what are you going to do?" Backed into a corner, Zeon furiously grinds his teeth, swinging his arm down to smash the table in pure resentment. Zeon quickly backs down. "Old man, calm down. There's no way I have that kind of cash. 10 souls for this garbage? That's utter bullshit. I'm begging you. Let's talk this out properly." The old man leans down, a treacherous smile stretching from ear to ear. "Short on cash? Don't worry. I'm not an unreasonable man. I'm perfectly willing to trade for something else." His eyes stay glued to Zeon's pocket. "That's right. That mana stone in your pocket would fetch quite a pretty penny." Zeon is stunned, breaking into a cold sweat. Even that rumor has already spread? The old man waves his bony hand demandingly. "Hand it over. I'll give you a fair price for it." Recalling the door of death he just crawled back from, Zeon grits his teeth in fury. "Son of a bitch, do you have any idea what I did? What I had to go through to protect this thing?" A massive thug steps forward and grabs him tightly by the head. Zeon still tries to salvage the situation with a final negotiation. "Look, old man, can't you just let this slide? You know, put it on my tab or something." Without bothering to hear another word, the thug forcefully smashes Zeon's head into the table. Blood splatters all over the guy's face. "Boss, how much longer are you going to listen to this brat's rambling? Let's just bury his corpse right now." This little shit. Murderous intent erupting, Zeon decisively activates his ability. Sand Blast. A razor-sharp pillar of sand pierces right through the butcher's massive arm, sending blood spraying everywhere. The surrounding thugs are absolutely horrified, their faces turning pale as they stare at their comrade's impaled arm gushing with blood. He manipulates the sand into deadly spikes, skewering the crowd of men who are still caught completely off guard. Amidst the thick dust and smoke, Zeon slowly stands upright. His eyes glow with a frenzied, murderous aura set in a dark, killing intent-filled face. Suddenly, snapping back to reality, the massive thug is urging him. Hey, look at me!" Zeon jolts awake, bewildered to find his head being pressed down on the counter by the old man, a trail of fresh blood trickling from his nose due to the impact. The old man frowns and asks, "Are you all right? You're spacing out." Zeon is stunned to realize that the badass massacre from a moment ago was nothing but a delusion. Did I just dream that? Damn it. Back to harsh reality, the old man is still leisurely sitting at the stall, resting his chin on his hand. There are no axes, cleavers, or massacres in sight. Knowing he has absolutely no chance to fight back, Zeon decisively tosses the sparkling mana stone onto the table. He presents the stone to the old man, bitterly accepting his own weakness as he hands over his treasure. "Here, the mana stone you've been thirsting for." The old man carefully takes the stone, holding it up to examine it, his eyes gleaming with cunning greed. Well, with a size like this, He casually lowballs him in the most blatant way possible. "Looks like it's worth about 100 souls." Hearing his asset lose 2/3 of its value in an instant, Zeon slams his hand on the table and screams in outrage. "Are you completely serious? This thing is worth at least 300 souls. How the hell is it only 100? Zeon bares his teeth, looking like he wants nothing more than to rip the sly old man's throat out. The old man just laughs in triumph, dropping one last merciless remark. Everything here is scarce, kid. Maybe you really should have become desert worm shit instead. Zeon helplessly slams his head onto the table to vent his frustration. Zeon's hands grip the wooden surface tightly, invisible grains of sand swirling around his fingers. He grits his teeth, swallowing his anger, and tells himself, "Those bastards. If I really wanted to, I could take down that old man. But not yet. It's not the right time." Raising his head, blood trickling down his forehead, Zeon looks up with a bitter, pragmatic smile. "Just give me a decent bonus for this exchange, old man." The old man smirks. "Sure thing. You'd better be careful where you keep it. There are plenty of pickpockets and thugs around here. In fact, there's one right in front of me." Leaning on the counter, he jerks his thumb backward with a fake smile. "Since this is our first transaction, I'll be generous with the change. Feel free to pick something from over there." In the corner of the room are shabby iron shelves stacked high with literal junk. "You can take any item you want." Zeon rummages through the scrap pile, picking up a bizarre long-nosed mask before clicking his tongue in disappointment. "Geez, I was hoping for something useful, but this is exactly what it looks like, a pile of garbage." He continues to grumble and complain. "There's nothing worth taking." Standing behind him, the old man narrows his eyes, observing the kid and thinking to himself, "What an interesting punk." Watching Zeon try to hoard all sorts of ridiculous items on himself, from a mustache mask to a toy gun to a gold-plated coin, the old man thinks in amusement. The obsession with not losing a single penny. "It's been a while since I've seen such a petty will to live." While hilariously holding 2 tin cans to his ears, Zeon suddenly freezes, blankly staring at an item hidden in the trash. "Is that all?" This is." The old man stands behind him with crossed arms, commenting, "That's something a merchant caravan left behind a long time ago." Zeon inspects the intricately carved hourglass, his mind racing. "I don't think I'll find anything better than this even if I keep digging. I'll take it." The old man pats his shoulder and mocks him. "You really have a talent for picking up trash." Zeon turns to leave, lazily replying, Yeah. He suddenly stops, turning his head back to ask, "By the way, what's your name, old man?" The old man cups his hands around his mouth and shouts, "Klexi!" Zeon shoots him a cold, vengeful side glare. "Old man Klexi, let's make sure we never cross paths again." The two turn their backs and walk in opposite directions. Klexi smirks smugly. "We'll see about that, kid." The hourglass is placed neatly on the floor, the grains of sand falling rhythmically. Zeon leans in close to watch the sands flow, calculating in his head. It'll run out in about 10 minutes. Back in the shabby miner's quarters, Zeon sits cross-legged on the floor. "All right." He closes his eyes and begins taking deep breaths. Zeon tilts his head toward the ceiling, closing his eyes to relax. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Zeon's eyes suddenly glow a brilliant gold. He focuses intensely, glaring at the hourglass in his hand and commanding with sheer willpower, "Move!" The hourglass remains perfectly still, not a single grain of sand bothering to shift. Zeon grimaces, scratching his cheek and grumbling in embarrassment. So it really has nothing to do with my awakening after all. He rests his chin on his hand, thoughtfully staring at the piece of junk. "I'm sure I've never seen it before, but I can't shake this feeling of familiarity. It's almost as if it was left here just for me. So familiar, like it's calling out to me, but at the same time it feels incredibly new. What the hell is this feeling?" The room's door is suddenly kicked open. A fierce, burly man aggressively storms in, yelling, "You're the little shit who joined today, aren't you?" He lunges forward, pointing a finger right in Zeon's face and cursing a blue streak. "Hey, you little bastard, why the hell aren't you at the mines yet? Did it really require me, Bachman Ho, to come all the way down here to drag you out?" Despite the barrage of insults, Zeon coldly looks up and talks back. My name is Zeon, not little bastard. Besides, you never told me where I was supposed to go. The moment the words leave his mouth, Bak Man-ho throws a straight punch to his face, sending him flying into the air. His veiny fist clenches tight. You! He rushes forward like a madman, violently pinning Zeon and slamming him against the floor. Shut your damn mouth! Even with Zeon down, the guy unleashes a barrage of merciless stomps. How dare you? How dare you talk back to me? Do I look like a fucking joke to you? Doi. Ha! Zeon glares up, his eyes blazing with hatred. Bak Man-ho continues his berating. A pathetic, unawakened loser acting cocky. Fuck. Shit's like you should just shut up and take the beating. Done beating him up, the guy angrily orders. Alright, get your ass up and follow me. Zeon struggles to stand up, clutching his aching shoulder, silently trudging behind the huge guy's back. Wiping away the blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, Zeon's eyes reflect a ruthless and crazed glint. What a psycho.
Bak Man-ho.
I'll remember that name. I'm definitely going to kill you, no matter what happens. The entrance to Sector 3 mine looms like a giant monster's lair, swallowing thee or transport carts into its deep darkness. Bak Man-ho leads Zeon to a tunnel section. Another miner greets them with a forced smile. Welcome back, Mr. Man-ho. Man-ho barks out. Hurry up and hand the gear to this little shit. The miner hastily throws a protective suit onto Zeon, his voice trembling as he explains. The cost of gear and food will be deducted from your wages. If you find any mana stones, bring them out immediately. Got it? Answer me? / I got it. But how much is the daily rental fee? Zeon stands looking baffled in the oversized protective suit, thinking to himself, I could have figured that out myself. A hard hat is forcefully smashed onto Zeon's head, shattering the headlamp glass. Man-ho presses down hard on Zeon's head, roaring furiously. Do I have to teach you how to swing a pickaxe too? Huh? The cost for this hard hat is coming out of your paycheck too, dumbass. Man-ho points his finger and orders. Throw this bastard into Tunnel 972. The miner next to Zeon is stunned. Tunnel 972? But that place is still. Man-ho screams right in the miner's face. You want to go in there instead of him? Answer me, you bastard. Scared out of his wits, the miner hurriedly drags Zeon away. Why yes, understood, sir. Let's go. As they walk, the miner leans in and whispers. Just bear with it. Zeon smirks and replies, I hear everything, punk. The two proceed into a deep, dark, and terrifying mine shaft. The miner mutters, You're really out of luck, coming in on the exact day that Man-ho gambled away all his money. Zeon looks around the mine and asks, There's a casino down here too? The miner nods. Of course, prostitution, booze, even drugs. In that regard, this place is no different from Neo-Seoul. Riding down in the rickety elevator, the miner chuckles. Well, with idiots like Bak Man-ho around, business must be booming. You've got some guts too. Zeon opens his hands and complains. Swinging a pickaxe? Honestly, my skin is as delicate as a baby's. I bruise easily. The miner replies in a monotone voice. You probably won't have to worry about getting hurt. He continues with a gloomy expression. Because no one has ever gotten hurt in there. Not even a single person. We're here. The elevator stops in front of a pitch-black cave entrance. Zeon stares inside. So this is Tunnel 972. Zeon steps out, casually resting the pickaxe on his shoulder as he asks, I just need to mine some mana crystals and bring them back, right? I'll be right back. Before he finishes, the miner cuts him off. There won't be any coming back. The elevator doors slam shut. The miner's chilling voice echoes out. Over a dozen people have already disappeared in there. Right now, there are 4 people betting on your life. Whether they're dead or whatever, nobody even knows the reason. He looks at Zeon through the iron mesh.
I'm sorry.
And thank you. His face darkens with guilt. For walking into a place no one else dares to touch. The elevator begins ascending, leaving Zeon at the bottom of the shaft. He snaps and yells after it. That means they're all dead. Where are you going? Are you just gonna leave me here alone? The elevator disappears into the darkness. Zeon looks up blankly in utter shock. Did he seriously just leave? Like, for real? Zeon wildly swings his pickaxe straight into the rock wall, roaring to vent his anger. Those absolute bastards. Just because of a bad mood, they dared banish me to a place like this. He grits his teeth, bringing down the next swing. D. Suddenly, the pickaxe head flies right off the handle, heading straight for his head. Zeon panics, reaching out frantically after his flying tool. Damn it! My pickaxe! Come back here! Chasing after the pickaxe head, he is dumbfounded as he wanders into a vast, smoke-filled space. What the hell is this place? Zeon steps cautiously, frowning as he observes the eerie mist enveloping his surroundings. I was too pissed off to notice earlier, but the mana in this tunnel is unbelievably thick. Could it be that they can't feel it because they're just ordinary humans? He proceeds carefully through the air that's gradually turning a deep crimson. The deeper I go, the thicker it gets. An ordinary person would have died from mana overload by now. Where is all this mana leaking from? Zeon's eyes suddenly flicker, and he stares down at the ground. The broken pickaxe head and wooden handle lay scattered on the dark red soil. Found it! My pickaxe! He casually steps forward onto the spongy ground. The handle is broken, but at least I found it. Looks like I'm still pretty lucky. The moment those words leave his mouth, the ground beneath Zeon's feet abruptly caves in, turning into a glowing red sinkhole that swallows him whole. Zeon's pupils shrink to their absolute limits as he witnesses the scene beneath the abyss. Sucked into the blazing crimson dimension, Zeon screams in panic. Wait, what is this? No way, a portal. His hard hat and broken pickaxe scatter, plummeting into the abyss alongside him. The flickering light from the hard hat illuminates the pickaxe handle sinking into the bizarre glow at the bottom of the portal. On the brink of death, childhood memories rush back. An image of young Zeon holding a toy in the rain, surrounded by the cold gossip of passers-by. That kid will die soon anyway. His parents abandoned him, what can he do? I just hope he doesn't die in front of my house. Zeon asks himself, what kind of life did I wish for? The scene shifts to Zeon pinned to the ground, tightly clutching a piece of raw meat despite being repeatedly kicked in the back. You looking for a beating? How dare you steal our meat? He remembers bitterly. I just wanted to never go hungry. Another memory. Zeon smashing a window and running for his life, clutching a bag of jewels with a gang of thugs hot on his heels. Catch that little bastard. He tells himself in despair. I wanted something that felt like a dream. The past intertwines with the phantom image of Lee Jiryong's brother's corpse. The threat echoes in his ears like a curse. Do you have any idea who you just killed? Go ahead. Spend the rest of your life running. Your pathetic life is over, you trash. Zeon clutches his head in terror. Even if I was paralyzed by fear and forced to run away. Sinking deeper into the black hole crisscrossed with violent lightning, the enemy's ruthless order still clings to his mind. I don't care as long as he's breathing. Chop off his legs if you have to. Just catch him. Zeon yearns with resentment. A life where I didn't have to worry about being murdered. The roaring continues to echo. Bring that bastard to Lee Jiryong right now. Suspended in the endless void, Zeon's face hardens, reaching out in desperation. Just a normal life like that. Snapping back to reality, having been spat out of the bizarre dimension, Zeon faceplants into an ash-covered ground. He scrambles to his feet, holding his splitting head and grumbling. My head, what the hell? Why is it so damp and hot? Zeon swipes his hand across the coarse ground, muttering, is this ash? His entire body goes rigid, beads of sweat pouring down his pale, stunned face. He looks up, frantically scanning his surroundings to piece together his current situation. Damn it, right? If I just fell through a portal, Revealed before his eyes is a churning sea of blazing magma nestled between towering cliffs. Then this place is inside a dungeon. He drops to his knees in stunned silence, when a sudden geyser of scorching air blows a rock right to him. Holding the heavily smoking rock in his hand, Zeon frowns as reality sets in. Zeon jumps up, frantically shaking his burning hand and swearing, "Too hot. Fuck." He looks at his reddened hand, sweat drenching his forehead, and sighs bitterly. Damn it. So it wasn't a dream. Even in Neo-Soul, people prepare everything possible before entering a dungeon. Zeon examines his ash-smeared hand and analyzes. This must be volcanic ash. It looks like scorched sand. If I don't get out of here soon, my lungs are going to be toast. He decisively tears off a piece from the hem of his shabby shirt. Tying the fabric tightly to cover his nose and mouth, his gaze turns resolute. All right, if this dungeon has an entrance, there has to be an exit. The most likely location is... He looks up at the colossal, fiery mountain of rock amid the churning sea of magma. That peak, the highest point in this dungeon. Zeon's eyes sharpen behind the makeshift mask. If I just stand still, the heat and ash will kill me anyway. I don't see any monsters around. This is my chance. He channels power into the tips of his shoes, bending his knees, ready to sprint. I'll take the shortest route and move as fast as I can. Zeon risks it all, launching himself high into the air, his will to survive burning bright. That's right.
I'm Zeon.
I never give up. Landing precariously on a cracked rock ledge, he sweats profusely, telling himself, that was way too close. Before he can finish the thought, the rock beneath his feet suddenly crumbles and breaks off, dragging him into a direct slide toward the magma. Damn it! Suspended on the border of life and death, about to plunge into the sea of fire, Zeon reaches out in sheer desperation and screams, "Please! Please!" Zeon desperately clings to the edge of the rock, in a state of absolute panic. He snaps, trying to calm his own terror. This little bit of magma, it doesn't scare me one bit. Battered and bruised, he collapses to his knees on the cracked ground, struggling to catch his breath amidst the scorching heat. Zeon's hands clench into tight fists, veins popping out in pure frustration and resentment. He throws his head back to the crimson sky, screaming out all his fury. "Bok Manhwa, you son of a bitch! You're dead meat when I get out of here." Zeon slowly drags his feet through the sea of fire, muttering to himself, "Damn it! Getting angry only makes things worse." Anger mode, off. Clutching the hem of his shirt, a fierce will to survive flares up in the kid's mind. I'm going to survive this no matter what happens. I'll struggle and fight with everything I've got. I'll find a way back. His resilient back stands against the sea of fire as he mentally calculates the path ahead. For more times, he stares intently at the precarious rock ledges amidst the churning lava. Just 4 more jumps, and I'm out of here. Zeon's eyes burn with intense determination, sharp with a killer instinct. Don't stop. Move. Don't think. Zeon dashes forward, his eyes refusing to give up. My life doesn't end in a place like this. Never. It can't end like this. He reaches out, his will to live burning bright. I won't stop. From beneath the sea of fire, a colossal magma monster emerges, its gaping maw ready to swallow the free-falling Zeon whole. The spike-covered beast rears up from the surface of the lava. It violently thrashes its body and dives back down, creating a terrifying tsunami of magma. Streaks of molten lava splatter everywhere, scorching the cliff face. Slithering close to the rock wall, the monster's fiery eyes continuously scan the area. Lava slowly drips scalding droplets onto the precarious rock ledge. Zeon forces himself to stand firm on the cliff, holding up his ash-covered protective shirt. Good Lord, just how hot is it down here? If even the ash is melting. Zeon's arms bulge with veins as the volcanic ash clinging to his shirt hardens into a makeshift glider for him to hang onto. I knew it. I can control volcanic ash too. That's what saved me. But Exhausted, Zeon plummets straight down, right in front of the monster's eyes. He lies sprawled out, his vision blurring. This dungeon, the environment itself, is more brutal than the monsters. His eyes sting from sweat and ash. The heat and ash feel like they're burning my nose from the inside out. I can't breathe. My consciousness is fading. Enveloped in darkness, Zeon lies motionless in utter despair. Am I really going to die here? Zeon's hand tightly grips the parched earth, mustering one final surge of strength. He forces himself up, laughing self-deprecatingly despite his crumbling body. Ha, I just talked big about surviving, and now look at me. I haven't even been on a date yet. I can't die pathetically like this. It's not fair at all. Zeon channels power into his legs, and ash begins swirling violently beneath the soles of his shoes. He gets into a fighting stance, commanding the volcanic ash to swirl around his hands. Sorry, Lord of the Underworld, but instead of taking me, go grab that crocodile skin bag over there. The colossal magma monster lunges straight at Zeon with its glowing red maw, intending to swallow him whole. Zeon glares, pouring all his remaining strength into a battle cry on the thin line between life and death. A strange voice echoes through the sudden silence. You possess quite an interesting ability. Zeon retracts the ash stream, freezing in bewilderment as he looks around. What? A voice? Is that you, Lord of the Underworld? The mysterious voice continues to echo. Controlling sand. How fascinating. Zeon's eyes widen in shock. No way. A figure plummets from the sky, diving headfirst straight toward the magma monster. The person's face comes into focus, sporting a crazed, exhilarated grin. Zeon gasps in astonishment. An old man? The old man's pure white hair whips wildly in the wind. He's free-falling straight out of the sky. The old man's veiny hands grip his weapon tightly. He swings his massive greatsword down with an expression of absolute fury and exhilaration. Zeon panics, throwing his hands up to shield his face. Here it comes. A devastating pillar of energy crashes down directly onto the monster's head. The annihilating slash unleashes a terrifying shockwave, ripping the ground to shreds. Debris and rocks shatter, launching into the fiery air. Under the immense pressure of the attack, Zeon can only cower, raising his arms to shield his face and brace for impact. Stunned, he collapses to his knees, clutching his ears with a vacant expression. What just happened? That impact? What the hell was that? I can't hear anything. Are my eardrums ruptured? That old man? Who is he? Zeon looks around in a daze. Wait, where did he go? No, more importantly, the monster. Looking up, he is struck dumb by the sight of the old man standing proudly atop the monster's colossal corpse in the middle of the lava. He's on a whole different level. Zeon's hand gripping the ledge trembles, breaking into a cold sweat. Completely different. He's not just some strong awakener. The old man's silhouette, shouldering his great sword, stands tall amidst the sea of fire, his eyes blazing with overwhelming killing intent. He's truly in a league of his own. A heavy leather boot stomps down onto the scorching, burning ground. The ground cracks beneath the sheer weight of his step. The old man's deep voice rumbles out. What do we have here? Through the thick mist and ash, the old man's deep voice echoes over. I'm asking for your name, you little brat. He bares his stark white teeth in a smile, a savage, menacing grin. Answer me before I count to 3. He slowly draws the massive greatsword, engraved with bizarre ancient patterns, from his back. 3. Every ticking second carries suffocating pressure. 2. The image of the old man raising his ruthless blade is clearly reflected in Zeon's terrified, dilated eyes. 1. The old man towers over the frozen kid, coldly dropping a single phrase. Wrong answer. The old man's voice sounds muffled and distorted in Zeon's ringing ears. Hey, are you not gonna answer? Sweating bullets, Zeon stares blankly up at the madman. What is going on? The old man impatiently points a finger right in his face. You little shit. Are you mute? Zeon screams frantically in his own mind. What the hell is he saying? My ears are busted. I can't hear a damn thing. The old man hoists the razor-sharp blade high, saying casually, well, if you don't want to talk. At that exact moment, the ringing fades, and Zeon's hearing abruptly returns. Ah, I can hear now. The old man's eyes glow a blood-red hue, overflowing with murderous intent. Then just die. His hearing back just in time to get scared shitless. Zeon throws his hands up in a panic, begging for mercy. Wait, hold on. Stop. I have no idea what's going on, but please spare me. The old man pauses, raising an eyebrow. Oh, so you're not a stupid mute after all. The old man growls. I asked for your name. Zeon squeezes his eyes shut and shrieks tragically. Zeon. My name is Zeon. The old man brushes past him, tossing out a taunt. Zeon? What a pathetic name. Zeon glares at his back, grumbling internally. Pathetic? What the hell is this old geezer's name that he dares judge mine? The old man violently swings his greatsword, unleashing a fiery slash that splits the very earth in two. The terrifying shockwave forces Zeon to clamp his hands over his ears. The old man's voice rings out clearly, Deoden. The old man arrogantly answers the boy's unspoken curiosity. My name is Deoden. Zeon yells out, bewildered. What the hell are you even doing? He angrily interrogates the old man. What's your deal? Calling me stupid? And why do you keep threatening me like that? Zeon snaps. I'm super grateful that you saved me, but what did I even do wrong? Deoden coldly cuts him off. Hey, idiot. He plops down on the edge of the cracked ground, casually stating, looks like you got caught in a trap. Zeon pouts and mutters. The disrespect is unbelievable. What do you mean by that? Dense mana seeps out from the glowing crevice in the ground. Deoden's voice drops as he explains. It's a phenomenon that occurs when a dungeon's mana becomes oversaturated. To protect itself, the dungeon creates another entrance and vents the mana through that rift. Streams of red mist coil around Zeon like snakes. Deoden calmly continues. At the same time, it drags in any living creatures nearby. That's the trap. Most people go their whole lives without ever seeing one. You've got absolutely rotten luck, kid. Made a fool of. Zeon grinds his teeth in resentment and curses internally. Damn it. Bachman, ho, you son of a bitch. Old man Deoden slowly walks over, calling out absent-mindedly. Hey, idiot. Zeon furiously snaps back as he follows him. Stop calling me an idiot. The old man sighs in exasperation, then suddenly turns around and violently squishes Zeon's face with one hand. I'll show you exactly why you're a fucking idiot. With his face squished, Zeon squawks in panic. Whoosh dot. Deoden orders. Now, focus your mana into your eyes and look. Zeon's pupils glow with a golden light. He struggles. What are you doing? The old man rudely interrupts. Shut up and do as I say. Condense your mana. The scene of the fiery sea reflects in Zeon's eyes. The old man continues instructing. Don't look with your physical eyes. Look with your mana. Feel it. Through his mana-infused sight, the image of a monster sliced clean in half materializes before his eyes. Witnessing the horrifying sight, Zeon breaks into a cold sweat and screams. What the hell is that? Deoden keeps his grip on the kid's head and smirks. So you finally see it. The silhouette of the demonic beast lurking beneath the magma becomes crystal clear. The old man states calmly, it's a demonic beast with active camouflage. Stupid prey die without even realizing they're being eaten. Just like you. Looking at Deoden's back dwarfed by the massive carcass, Zeon stands frozen, shivering in terror as the truth hits him. This thing was right in front of me, and I couldn't sense it at all? Not even a tiny hint of danger. Looking at the devastating slash the old man used to rip the earth apart, Zeon gulps and thinks, if it weren't for this old man, I really would have died without ever knowing why. He stares fixedly at that towering back. He's saved my life twice now. The overwhelming aura radiating from Deoden makes it hard for him to breathe. This man, just how insanely strong is he? Zeon suppresses his intimidation and asks directly, "Who exactly are you?" Deoden jerks his chin and snaps. "Are you an idiot? Like I said, it's Deoden, kid." Zeon furiously yells back, "That's not what I meant. Who are you to possess such terrifying power? And where the hell are we?" Deoden shoulders his greatsword and turns to walk away. "Inside a dungeon. And from now on, this is my hunting ground." Zeon is dumbfounded. "A hunting ground?" The old man replies coldly, "That's right, a hunting ground. As for who I am..." He turns his head halfway, baring his stark white teeth in an arrogant grin. "See for yourself." Zeon's eyes are glued to the ancient, engraved patterns on the greatsword. Crayon. The ground shakes violently as pitch-black energy pillars and crimson lightning suddenly pierce through the earth, shooting straight up into the sky. Overwhelmed by the tremors, a terrified Zeon collapses, clutching his head to endure the shockwaves. What the hell is this? Zeon stares wide-eyed at the terrifying scene unfolding before him. What the hell is that old geezer doing? From the crevice, a massive flock of flaming crows bursts out, blocking out the sky. Zeon screams in sheer terror. What the hell is going on? The aggressive flock of crows begins circling and swarming the kid. Deoden's voice echoes out. "Hey, idiot!" Deoden grips the hilt of his greatsword tightly, roaring a challenge. "If you have any worth at all, then survive this on your own." A fire crow blitzes downward, aiming straight for Zeon. He grits his teeth and curses. That crazy old man. Zeon struggles to step back and dodge, his face grimacing from the intense heat. These bastards. Why are they so fast? He barely manages to twist his body, dodging the incoming attack. His ash-smeared legs nimbly pivot for momentum, desperately retreating to evade the lethal pecks. The swarm of fire crows tightens its net. Sweating profusely, Zeon bitterly complains. "Fuck, they're swarming everywhere. I can't even run away, they're too fast. And why the hell do they keep aiming for my left flank?" Unable to run forever, Zeon's will to survive explodes. He sweeps his hand sharply, launching streams of volcanic ash at the flock of fire crows. But it barely makes a difference. The massive flock of fiery crows violently dive-bombs him like arrows of death. Slashed to shreds by the blinding crimson flashes, Zeon desperately throws his arms up to block the onslaught. Blood trickling down his forehead, Zeon grits his teeth in utter helplessness. Damn it, I can't keep up with them. Not by sensing their presence, nor with my own eyes. His body staggering amidst a barrage of wind-tearing attacks, he frantically asks himself, "Fuck, what do I do? If I just stand here like an idiot, I'm gonna die." The image of old man Deoden majestically swinging his greatsword flashes through Zeon's mind, fueling his will to survive. That old geezer saved this life of mine twice already. If I kick the bucket now, I really am a massive idiot. His mind rapidly piecing the events together. Zeon looks up and mutters in realization. Wait a minute. The memory of the old man's echoing voice suddenly rushes back. Hey, are you not gonna answer? The memory of his ruptured eardrums replays. Seriously, this brat. Can't you even hold a proper conversation? At that time, Zeon had thought, what is he saying? My ears hurt too much. I can't hear clearly. Staring at the drops of blood pooling beneath his dirty shoes, his eyes sharpen with a sudden realization. I need to find a way to see through enemies moving too fast for the naked eye to catch. Standing alone, flailing his arms to defend himself against the firestorm and the swarming crows, Zeon forces all his focus and snaps at himself. Think. Figure it out. You idiot. With his torn and bloody arms crossed to brace for impact, Deoden's harsh lesson from earlier suddenly illuminates Zeon's mind. I'll show you exactly why you're a fucking idiot. Daeodon's ruthless instructions echo back into Xeon's head. Focus your mana into your eyes. Raise the purity of your mana. Xeon's bloodshot pupils suddenly flare with a brilliant golden light. Don't look with your physical eyes. Look with your mana. Feel the mana. A ferocious fire crow tears through the wind, aiming straight for his head to deliver the killing blow. Unlike his previous struggles, Xeon effortlessly throws up a wall of ash, blocking the monster's lethal peck with mere inches to spare. His sharp, golden eyes calmly assess the surroundings. Sensing the magical power inside these beasts, I'm seeing with mana, not my physical eyes. When the monster's mana gets close, I just have to counterattack at the absolute shortest distance. Decisively sweeping his hand, a ribbon of ash acts like a black blade, slicing the fire crow clean in half. That old man. No way. Seizing the moment, Xeon unleashes a flurry of ash slashes, mincing the swarm of beasts. Did he actually predict this was going to happen? Amidst the encirclement of fire, Xeon looks up in awe at Daeodon's small silhouette charging alone straight into the giant jaws of the magma beast. Just who the hell is this old geezer? Old man Daeodon crazily swings his greatsword right down onto the monster's head, throwing his face back and roaring with ecstatic laughter. This is so damn fun, I tell ya. It's been way too long since I've been this pumped. A massive pillar of light energy crashes down, tearing through the burning earth. Daeodon rockets through the air, throwing punches with a maniacal grin. More! Give me more! He roars in pure excitement amidst the monster's overwhelming size. Bring it all on, I say. From behind, another hulking monster looms closer to him. Daeodon's voice rings out from the rubble. How utterly disappointing. Holding his greatsword in a reverse grip with a single flash, the monster is split cleanly in two, all while the old man is still turning his back in a totally badass pose. Daeodon walks away annoyed, constantly grumbling. So disappointing. I was just getting warmed up. Why are there so few dungeons these days? Back in my time. Seriously. Xeon looks up blankly, blood trickling down from his forehead into his eyes. Man, that's just insane. I suddenly feel sorry for that demonic beast. Standing in a crater littered with fire crow corpses, Xeon stares in shock at the colossal carcass in the distance. I can't believe you actually killed that huge thing. I'm completely speechless. Clutching his heavily injured arm, Xeon lets out a forced smile as his eyes slowly lose focus. But I don't think I can hold on much longer. You see. Xeon smiles weakly, blood running down his face. I'm at my limit. Yeah. The ground abruptly cracks open, as magma and hellfire erupt violently into a massive, splattering explosion. Enduring the horrifying pressure from the blast, Xeon's battered body is violently hit by a shockwave of searing heat. He collapses onto the scorching ground, vomiting uncontrollably. Xeon struggles to plant his hands on the ground, looking up from behind Daeodon. Fuck, what was that? What the hell is it now? The old man replies calmly. That's the boss's roar. A pair of massive, black-scaled claws stomps directly into the sea of magma. Xeon is bewildered. Boss? What? Daeodon explains calmly. Every dungeon has a boss at the very end. And the colossal silhouette of a demonic beast with bat-like wings rises amidst brilliant blue flames. Daeodon finishes. That's the entire reason I came to this place. Xeon's face turns pale, his pupils dilating in extreme terror. A boss? That thing? Old man Daeodon flashes a crazed, toothy grin, his eyes blazing with sheer exhilaration. You finally showed up. He stands tall, staring up at the colossal dragon rising to blot out the dungeon sky, and excitedly screams, Crimson Drake! Sweating profusely, Xeon looks up at the massive dark shadow. A crimson drake? You mean it's not a dragon? Daeodon chuckles.
Sadly, no.
Xeon gulps. Well, it's gotta be at least a B rank then. A blinding mass of energy flares up in midair. Xeon gasps. At least a B rank. Which means... The beast roars, churning the sea of fire to generate a massive protective barrier that completely envelopes its body. Zeon is stunned. A force field. Deoden casually pushes Zeon's head down. Oh? Even a cripple like you knows about force fields. Zeon looks up in a cold sweat. I've only heard the stories. That demonic beasts from B rank and above possess unique traits, just like humans. A cold, deep blue mass of energy begins gathering at the Crimson Drake's head. Zeon mutters his analysis. Just like an Awakener's rank badge. A red force field represents the combat system. The energy mass radiating a suffocating pressure continues to grow. Zeon shivers, continuing. And if it has a blue force field like that thing, the dragon spreads its wings high above, unleashing a massive crystal of energy that shreds through space, aiming straight at the two of them. Zeon clutches his head and screams in absolute despair. It's the magic system. Fuck, this is way too overpowered. Ignoring the kid's panic, Deoden rockets straight into the sky, swinging his greatsword to carve a blazing cross that slices the massive, destructive crystal clean in half. The shattered chunks of energy crack apart, raining down like a meteor shower. Zeon stands frozen, looking up with his jaw dropped, utterly speechless. Zeon stares blankly at the overwhelming scene before him, breaking into a cold sweat. It's all meaningless. My common sense, my experience, everything. He remains rooted to the spot as he watches the colossal dragon open its jaws to spew a devastating sphere of energy at Deoden. Is completely meaningless in front of that old man. In midair, Deoden swings his greatsword, delivering a thunderous strike that splits the energy beam in two and slashes right down onto the beast's head. The Crimson Drake roars, swiping its giant, razor-sharp claws to grab its enemy. Deoden doesn't even bother dodging. He charges head-on, swinging his greatsword to dead-stop the dragon's brutal sweep. But suddenly, the dragon manages to grasp Deoden tightly in a surprise move. Pinned close, the dragon opens its jagged, toothy jaws wide, continuing to charge a massive blue energy sphere point-blank at the old man's face. Facing impending destructive power, Deoden doesn't flinch. He bares his sharp teeth, breaking into a savage ear-to-ear grin. He wildly lunges in, using his bare hands to crush the monster's lower jaw, completely ignoring the blinding blue energy erupting and viciously tearing at him. His eyes blazing with bloodlust, Deoden excitedly screams right into the beast's face. Are you feeling the pain, you overgrown dragon? Deoden grips the hilt of his greatsword tightly, roaring with absolute confidence. Don't you worry. That pain. I'll put an end to it myself. He swings his ruthless blade, generating a blazing red stream of energy that slashes right into the beast. Because today is your dying day. Zeon winces, gritting his teeth and screaming in despair. Fuck me. Today is the day I'm gonna die rotting in here. He sprints for his life to escape the war zone. You absolute lunatics. I don't give a crap what's going on. Can't you guys just talk it out with your mouths? He stops, throwing both hands out. From his palms, sand begins to gather, forming a protective shield behind his back. Under the terrifying pressure, Zeon's scrawny body is blown away like a torn leaf amidst the devastating energy waves. He has to dig his shoes into the cracked ground just to break his momentum. Seriously, take this fight somewhere else? Please? How the hell is just the shockwave this insanely powerful? Zeon struggles to hold up his hands against the hurricane-force winds, looking back with an expression of extreme tension. Deoden laughs heartily, a savage grin splitting his face. This is so fun. It's just too damn fun. The crazy old man rockets up, clinging and climbing along the beast's colossal neck amidst the roaring sea of fire. Doesn't it feel like we're at an amusement park? Crimson Drake. A massive pillar of hellfire mixed with crimson lightning detonates, tearing the ground into a bottomless abyss. Zeon freezes, feeling the aura of absolute destruction billowing up from beneath his feet. He looks down in horror as a series of deadly cracks spread at a dizzying speed right where he's standing. Sweating bullets, Zeon lets out a bitter curse. Motherfucker! The shockwave is so strong it blasts him right off his feet. Zeon's scrawny body slams repeatedly into the jagged cliffs, bouncing off and continuing to plummet. In the hazy mid-air, Zeon helplessly free-falls down the cliff, the boiling, crimson sea of magma waiting below. Blood gushes from his forehead, streaming down his face as Zeon stares into the void with empty eyes. The kid's pupils dilate, carrying a hint of resignation to his impending death. From Zeon's free-falling perspective, the earth-shattering battle in the sky between Old Man Deoden and the colossal Crimson Drake grows further and further away. Deoden throws his head back, laughing like a maniac. "Is this all you've got, Drake?" He delivers an overwhelming blow, forcing the colossal dragon to crash down onto the cracked earth. "A dungeon boss shouldn't be groveling like this. You're a disgrace to the title." Pushed to the absolute brink, the dragon opens its jagged jaws wide, charging up a blindingly bright energy beam. Facing this ultimate attack, Deoden still smirks in pure exhilaration. "I guess you finally look the part of a boss. To think you were still hiding a trick like that." The Crimson Drake fires a destructive energy beam that pierces through space, shooting straight up into the sky. The fierce, sweeping power triggers an explosion, blasting countless massive boulders into the hazy air. The dragon cranes its neck, exhaling smoke as its eyes dart around to scan the area. Deoden's chilling voice suddenly rings out. "Are you looking for me?" Sensing the overwhelming bloodlust from above, the beast flinches and snaps its head straight up. From the heavens, a colossal greatsword phantom, dyed a brilliant blood red and carrying apocalyptic power, crashes straight down. The Crimson Drake's jaw drops in terror, completely helpless as it takes the fatal, punishing blow head-on. Deoden stands tall before the demonic beast, plunging his sword into its glowing energy core. "I've been relentlessly hunting you, clearing out this desert for a whole damn year." The old man stares intently at his prey, gripping his great sword tightly. "I need your heart to feed Crayon." Deoden's eyes flash with ice-cold killing intent. "Now die." The great sword sinks deep into the Crimson Drake's energy core, absorbing the blue energy within it. The Crimson Drake throws its head back and shrieks in agony as its heart is crushed, erupting with streams of crimson aura that tear through its chest. Having fully absorbed the beast's life force, the entire sword erupts with a blinding, blazing red, destructive power. Starting from the hilt, the sword begins to violently tremble. Suddenly, it fragments into multiple pieces, hovering in midair right beside Deoden. Crayon vibrates intensely before slowly reconstructing itself into a flawless, complete blade. Deoden casually reaches out, tightly gripping the blazing hilt, and breaks into a chillingly satisfied smile. "You've grown up quite a bit, Crayon." Zeon sarcastically calls up from the pit. "Talking to a sword? Are you just some crazy old geezer after all?" Zeon pokes his head over the edge of the abyss, panting heavily. "But you actually took down a drake. You really are an insanely strong crazy old geezer." Deoden rests his greatsword on his shoulder and looks down. "Oh, idiot. I'm surprised you're still alive." Zeon replies exhaustedly. "Well, I actually almost died, but..." Memories rewind to the moment Zeon was helplessly free-falling into the blazing sea of magma. Blood streaming down his face, his eyes wide and vacant as he faced imminent death. Suddenly, his will to survive exploded. Zeon clutched his head tightly, gritting his teeth and squeezing out every last ounce of his strength. He frantically threw his hands backward, channeling his mana to control the dense volcanic ash around him. A colossal black ash platform bloomed like a thorny flower, catching his falling body right on the jaws of death. Sprawled flat on the ground, drenched in sweat, Zeon muttered blankly, "Fuck, I survived again. I really am one lucky son of a bitch." Zeon pants, answering sarcastically, "I kept getting battered by the shockwaves from some crazy old man. Thanks to that, my reflexes sharpened right up, and I survived." Deoden smirks in reply. "Not bad, idiot." The dungeon sky begins to crack and shatter like glass. Deoden hefts his great sword onto his shoulder and urges. The boss is dead. The dungeon is collapsing. We'd better get the hell out of here fast. Dragged roughly by the scruff of his neck, Zeon frantically protests. Hold on. Why are you grabbing me? Deoden ignores him, throwing his head back to the sky and roaring with hearty laughter. The old man unceremoniously tosses Zeon straight down into a deep, pitch-black teleportation portal at the bottom of the abyss. See ya, idiot! Free-falling into the hazy void, Zeon furiously screams. Hey, you crazy old geezer! You're even worse than that bastard Bachman, ho, you son of a bitch! A blinding light flashes, and Zeon's scrawny body is violently spat out of the portal, tumbling onto a sun-drenched sand dune. He faceplants into the scorching sand, sliding a long distance away from the glowing red vortex hovering in the desert. Zeon struggles to spit a mouthful of sand out, barking angrily. Where the hell are we? Deoden casually steps out of the spatial portal, replying calmly. Outside the dungeon, obviously. The rift created when the dungeon collapses acts as an exit. Zeon retorts furiously. Then we could have just casually walked out. Deoden's face darkens, his voice dropping into a serious growl. Listen closely, idiot. Deoden towers over Zeon. I have a use for your sand-controlling ability, but in your current pathetic state, you're absolutely useless to me. So, I'll give you a choice. The old man points straight toward the horizon. If you go this way, you'll reach Neo Soul. Do you want to go back to Neo Soul and keep living the life you used to? Deoden jerks his thumb at his own chest, baring his fangs in a smirk. Or follow me and become a higher-class idiot? Sitting flat on the hot sand, Zeon asks back, bewildered. What the hell are you suddenly spouting? Follow you? For how long? The old man casually casts his gaze into the distance. I don't know. A few months, a few years, or maybe decades. I won't know until we reach the destination. Zeon looks up in stunned silence. The old man's voice rings out coldly. So, make your decision right now. He lowers his head, his mind visualizing the scenario of plummeting straight into the abyss of death. Go back to my familiar, comfortable life, or throw myself into a gamble with a 99% chance of certain death. An invisible pressure weighs heavily on Zeon's tense face. Deoden growls. Come on, choose. Suddenly, Zeon lowers his head and smirks, a bitter, mocking smile forming on his lips. A choice? Don't make me laugh. Zeon snaps his head up, pointing his finger right in Deoden's face, baring his sharp teeth as he snaps. Hey, old man! Are you completely out of your mind? Zeon glares at the old man. You want me to give up a roof, a bed, and some shade, to choose walking across the scorching desert with you? Deoden turns his head to look back. Yes, exactly what you just said. Zeon wipes his chin, turning his face away. Then there's nothing left to say. Zeon decisively steps forward to stand beside the crazy old man. I'll go with you. Zeon lowers his head slightly, his eyes filled with hostility. When someone pisses me off, I have to settle the score. But right now, I'm too weak to exact my own revenge. Zeon snaps his head up, baring his sharp teeth in a sinister grin. By the way, that includes you. Zeon spreads his arms toward the old man. You are overwhelmingly stronger than anyone I've ever met. I don't think I'll ever find anyone stronger than you. That's why I'm certain. Deoden throws his head back and laughs heartily. Certain that you'll die? Zeon clenches his fists, sand beginning to swirl around him. No, certain that if I follow you, I will become stronger than anyone else. Deoden smirks savagely. That certainty, there will come a day when you'll live to regret it. Deoden takes long strides forward, barking irritably. Hurry up, idiot. We've got a long way to go. Zeon drags his feet behind him, arguing vehemently. Stop calling me an idiot. The desert sun blazes down as if trying to melt everything in sight. Drenched in sweat and panting heavily, Zeon yells out. Hey, can't you slow down a little? He staggers, reaching out toward the old man's back. Old man, we've been walking for 6 straight hours. Let's take a break. Deoden coldly keeps walking with his greatsword shouldered, completely ignoring the complaints. Zeon furiously tears at his own hair, screaming, "Fuck! Why aren't you saying anything? You're not some moody teenager. What the hell is with this hot and cold attitude?" Sweat streaming into his eyes, Zeon mutters bitterly, "It's so hot. Is it 100 degrees already? No, it's gotta be at least 120. His shoes sink deep into the loose sand. This damn sand makes walking so difficult. At this rate, I'm definitely going to get heat stroke or die of dehydration. Zeon rests his hands on his knees, panting helplessly. What the hell am I supposed to do? Deoden's monotonous voice rings out from ahead. You really are an idiot. You can't even use 1% of your power. Zeon looks up blankly. What do you mean? Deoden glances back, coldly delivering his sarcasm. You have the ability to control sand, yet you're struggling to even walk on it. How pathetic. Zeon clutches his head, screaming in frustration. That's easy for you to say. I just awakened a few days ago. Deoden turns his head back, tossing out coldly. So what? Zeon continues to yell back. I'm just an F rank. I'm not a high-level awakener like you. Deoden lunges forward, grabbing Zeon by the shirt and roaring right in his face. Cut the bullshit. Who cares if you're an F rank or an S rank? Hoisted by his collar, Zeon looks up at the old man in shock. Do you think people are born S ranks? Even if they are, they're simply bastards who were born lucky. Deoden glares with eyes blazing with killing intent, gritting his teeth as he barks. So what? Are you going to give up just because you weren't blessed? In the eyes of others, you've already been blessed more than enough. Zeon stands frozen before the old man, muttering under his breath. Blessed. Deoden forcefully shoves Zeon away, growling. So stop whining and figure out how to use your ability yourself. What's the point of having a functional body if your head is full of garbage? Deoden's voice deepens. That is your power. The old man leans down, placing a hand on the kid's shoulder. Naturally, you must be the one who understands it best. How to break your limits and grow. As well as how to wield that power, you have to find the answers yourself. Zeon looks up at the massive hand gripping his collar. Old man! Deoden shakes Zeon violently, roaring. Do you understand? Idiot! If you can't figure it out yourself, then consider yourself dead. Zeon thrashes, screaming for help. I get it! I get it! Let me go! Zeon's foot stomps hard onto the loose sand. He centers his mind, and streams of sand begin swirling into the air at his command. Zeon focuses on analyzing the flow of power. The range of sand I can control is about 5 meters, a bit short, but I can manage. He stares down at his shoes. The quicksand goes all the way up to my ankles. If I can solve this, I'll save a ton of stamina. Channeling mana beneath his footing, Zeon calculates. If I compress the sand to turn it into a solid surface, Zeon steps lightly on the sand, cheering joyfully. Yes, it worked. My feet aren't sinking anymore, and walking just became a piece of cake. Cold sweat immediately breaks out on the kid's forehead. But doing this drains way too much mana. I can't keep it up for long. Scratch that. Zeon changes his strategy, circulating glowing mana around his legs. Then what if I focus the mana directly into my legs? Oh, this definitely makes walking much easier. Zeon is engrossed in his calculations behind him. If I do it like this here... Wait, this isn't even using my ability. Deoden smirks slightly as he walks ahead. And then the next step. It's good to be young. Zeon loses his balance and faceplants, eating a mouthful of sand. Deoden evaluates calmly. He refuses to give up and keeps experimenting. That's the privilege of youth. The old man glances over his shoulder, silently acknowledging. He's still just an F rank, but his power and mana control are already at E or D rank levels. Deoden mutters. If it's him, he will definitely. Zeon suddenly shoots up, wrapping glowing mana around his shoes. It worked! Zeon eagerly runs after the old man's back. Old man, look! I'm only controlling the sand that touches my feet, and walking is way easier now. Zeon smugly sticks his tongue out and flips Deoden the bird to provoke him. You can't do this, can you, old man? Walking is a breeze for me now. What are you gonna do about it, old man? Before he can finish, a fist slams straight down onto the top of Zeon's head. Zeon is knocked out cold, flattened on the sand with a smoking, swollen lump on his head. Deoden towers over him, growling. You're being too damn noisy tagging along. Stop wasting your energy on useless things. You're going to get yourself killed. Deoden urges them to keep moving. We don't have time. Hurry up and... Idiot! The old man panics, crouching down and violently shaking the kid's motionless body. Hey! You idiot! Breathe! Breathe! Damn it! The scene fades to black. Zeon groggily opens his eyes, weakly mumbling unconsciously. Where am I? Old man Deoden sits flat on the sand, leisurely chewing on food. You're finally awake, idiot. I'm up to my neck in work, and all you do is waste my time. A piece of dried meat is tossed right into Zeon's face. Sprawled on the ground, the kid sluggishly complains. Act like I'm on a spa vacation, why don't you? My whole body is covered in wounds and bruises, you know? The meat lands on the loose sand. Zeon mutters. Dried meat. Deoden stares into the night. Eat and listen. This is a story from when I was young. The old man's eyes soften, carrying a trace of distant nostalgia. Back then, being weak or inferior to others didn't threaten your very survival. Protecting the weak was even considered a noble act. Can you even imagine that? Zeon lies silently, listening. The old man's deep voice echoes into the night. But as you know, the world changed. To you, this might be the only world you know, but I can never get used to it. Deoden finishes coldly. If you want to die, just keep lying there. If not, use your own damn strength to get up, idiot. Zeon struggles to prop himself up, grabbing the piece of dried meat. All right, I get it. I'm getting up. The kid looks up, his eyes full of thought. This is... Amidst the desolate, lonely desert, the two figures sit silently chewing on dried meat. Zeon looks at Deoden's sturdy back. I had somewhat guessed it, but he really has lived for a very long time. Just how many years and memories has this old man accumulated? Zeon quietly observes from behind. Even so, he's still eating that dried meat. Not just chewing it, he's softening it with his saliva. Zeon holds the tough jerky in his mouth, grumbling in annoyance. In a parched desert like this, that's the proper way to eat. The old geezer could have told me sooner. Damn it. He lowers his head, his eyes analyzing thoughtfully. Instead of giving me a fish, he's teaching me how to fish. Zeon smirks with a self-deprecating laugh. Well, even though I've never actually seen a real fish in my life before, amidst the vast, freezing desert night, two figures, one large and one small, sit in the desert without a single word spoken. Zeon yells, shattering the silence. Old man, give me another piece. Deoden coldly retorts. Shut your damn mouth. The desert wind howls. Zeon huddles up and lets out a loud sneeze. He hugs his violently shivering arms tightly. I forgot how bone-chillingly cold this desert gets at night. The creepy memory of last night rushes back. Old man Deoden sitting in the dark, stroking his sword. Deoden whispered, My friend, that's right, that spot should be good. Zeon breaks into a cold sweat, cursing internally. Has he completely lost his mind? That crazy old geezer. I barely got any sleep because he kept whispering to his sword all night long. Zeon wheezes with a parched throat. Geez, I'm so thirsty. Is there no puddle of water around here? Before he can finish, he stares wide-eyed as a veiny Deoden wrings out a dew-soaked shirt, opening his mouth wide to catch every drop of murky water that squeezes out. Zeon grits his teeth in frustration. Are you serious? Again? Does he just want to keep it all to himself? He watches as the old man wrings out the dew trapped in his clothes. He's wringing out the dew collected on his clothes. No wonder he laid them all out to sleep last night. Xian mutters bitterly. Just you wait, you crazy old geezer. Once I get stronger, I'm definitely gonna... Daeden's voice suddenly cuts in. Hey, idiot. Xian snaps back. I'm not a moron. I'm an idiot. Daeden calmly replies. Sure thing, idiot. Have you sensed it yet? Xian looks up blankly. Sense what? He freezes. These vibrations. Xian's face drops. There's more than one. All around them, the bloodthirsty, glowing red eyes of giant demonic beasts slowly emerge from the dark, completely surrounding the duo. Daeden speaks calmly.
L'on dit rien.
They're nocturnal predators, but it looks like we've been targeted this morning. The beasts bare their fangs, drooling. Daeden smirks. Idiot! Think you can survive this on your own? Or do you need my help again? A stream of sand shoots toward the pack of hyenas. Surrounded by danger, Xian raises a finger, unleashing the sand with a provocative, mocking smile. Humph! You're offering to help? I don't need it. He spreads his arms wide, declaring confidently amidst the ferocious pack. I'll handle this myself, because I am going to survive. Xian's eyes glow a brilliant gold. He grits his teeth, condensing his mana to swirl razor-sharp streams of sand around his fingertips. Dozens of razor-sharp sand spikes shoot from his fingertips, piercing through the air and stabbing into the bodies of the charging hyenas. His eyes dart to the left, straining to track the pack's movements. He sweeps his hands, commanding his power to erect massive sand pillars that launch the monsters away. However, the hyena pack is just too large. Sweating bullets, Xian screams and curses. Damn it! You crazy bastards! Fuck! Just how many of them are there? Clutching his chest, he pants heavily, feeling his mana depleting rapidly. I'm gonna die of mana exhaustion before they even get to tear me apart. A plan. I need a plan. Facing hundreds of glowing red eyes swarming around him, Xian tells himself. Raw power isn't what's important right now. I need efficient attacks and I have to manage my mana. Xian closes his eyes, focusing on the small sand vortex in his hand, his brain working in overdrive. How can I fight while consuming less mana? Think. Think. A hyena suddenly lunges at him while his guard is down. Furiously, Xian delivers a blow that knocks the beast away. Get the hell away from me. I'm trying to think. You cowardly sons of bitches. Looking at his bleeding arm, he grits his teeth bitterly. Fuck. This crazy dog punched a hole right through my arm. It's like a damn ventilation hole. He stares at the blood dripping down the deep wound. A hole? Ahead of him, the entire pack of massive beasts bares their fangs, drooling as they frantically charge forward. Right in the center, Xian stands perfectly still. He mutters coldly. That's right. A hole. I just need to punch a hole. That's it. Xian smirks ruthlessly, waving his hand to shoot out a barrage of sand needles. Thin as threads but incredibly sharp, piercing straight through the hyena's brains in the blink of an eye. Just like this. Fresh blood rains down as Xian throws his head back, laughing maniacally. Exactly. Why go through the trouble of blowing off their whole heads? Whether their head explodes or just gets a neat little hole, they drop dead all the same. In combat, mana is directly tied to life force. If I panic and waste my mana, I'm just digging my own grave early. He flicks his wrists, launching thin needles of sand that pierce the skulls of multiple hyenas. Minimum damage required for the target.
Minimum mana consumed.
It's all about highly efficient, cost-effective combat. Xian smugly looks back at Daeden in the distance. That old geezer is doing the exact same thing, taking them out one by one, nice and slow. Ha ha! A ferocious hyena sinks its teeth right into Daeden's bicep. The crazy old man doesn't even flinch, grinning wickedly. Kakik, what the hell are you doing? trying to scratch an itch. From inside the hyena's mouth, rows of sharp teeth dig deep into Deodan's arm. He hoists his greatsword high, roaring loudly. I can't let a dog that bites humans live. All of you are gonna die right here. Deodan's eyes glow with a frantic, dark red light, a savage smile stretching from ear to ear. Recognizing that familiar, devastating aura about to erupt, Zeon breaks into a cold sweat and screams in panic. Wait! The old geezer is acting up again. Ignoring Zeon's panic, Deodan roars like a madman. I'll annihilate every last one of you. A violent crimson shockwave of killing intent crashes down, tearing the earth apart and triggering a devastating explosion that wipes out everything in its path. The aftershock from the brutal attack blows Zeon backward. Dust and sand, along with shredded hyena corpses, fly everywhere amidst the dark red aura. Zeon breaks into a cold sweat, exclaiming in shock. This crazy old geezer, seriously, there's someone standing right next to him. The ground is ripped open into a deep trench, a massive, blood-soaked crater staining the sand. Scanning the gory mess at Deodan's feet, he gulps. Is he even human? He did all that without even using a skill. Zeon coughs violently in the dust cloud, cursing bitterly under his breath. Damn it, I'd better drop the arrogance from now on. One wrong step and I'm a goner. A massive alpha hyena bares its fangs and roars. Deodan casually sits perched on a beast's corpse, picking his ear as he retorts. You trying to deafen me? You're the alpha, aren't you? For a leader, you sure whine a lot. The demonic beast lunges right at the old man's face, unleashing a blinding white lightning bolt that tears through space. Deodan grips his sword hilt to block his line of sight, exclaiming in surprise. Is this a force field? You little shit. You're a B rank or higher. The hyena's massive body glows brilliantly, unloading an entire storm of blinding white lightning to swallow the old man whole. Zeon frantically rushes forward, desperately reaching out and screaming. Old man, look out! Deodan calmly grabs the lightning bolt barehanded, acting like it's absolutely nothing. Zeon's eyes widen, rooted to the spot as he stares blankly at the absurd scene before him. Deodan grins while the white lightning continuously arcs around his body. This tingling sensation feels great. It's really helping loosen up my stiff shoulders. The old man's eyes roll back, glowing with crimson killing intent. Now then, the massage is over. He delivers a thunderous, earth-shattering punch, crushing the massive beast into a pulp that sinks deep into the sand. Flesh and blood splatter everywhere. Zeon clasps his hands, letting out a helpless, forced smile. Right? Who the hell am I to worry about him? I'd better just ignore that monster for my own peace of mind. Zeon peels off the hyena's scalp to drape over himself, casually strolling over. Old man, looks like you're done. Shall we get going? Deodan glances back. Oh, you're still alive, idiot. Zeon's eyes fixate on the sharp horn in the old man's hand. You're taking that? Deodan inspects his loot. A dire hyena's horn is quite useful. They carry the lightning attribute. If crafted carefully, it'll make an excellent weapon. The old man swings his arm, throwing a dagger straight at him. Catch! Deodan opens a pitch-black spatial dimension to store his items, ordering nonchalantly. That's a short sword. From now on, you're catching your own food. No more free rides. Deodan points to a piece of meat on the tip of the knife and begins explaining. The muscles of a longhorned dire hyena are highly toxic. Eat it and you die. But the meat on the ribs is completely toxin-free. The old man whips around, glaring and snapping. What are you staring at? The sun's coming up. Move your ass, idiot. The fiery dawn begins to break through the bizarre, giant rock formations in the desert. Zeon hurriedly follows. Yes, sir. Zeon takes leisurely strides, eagerly chewing on the dried meat with a look of absolute satisfaction. So good. I'm a bit thirsty, but at least I've got plenty of food now. A layer of glowing mana coats his shoes, allowing him to step lightly without sinking. And walking has become so much easier thanks to my new sandwalking skill. Zeon tilts his head up at Daoden, smugly tossing out a taunt. Jealous, old man? I hope you're not pushing yourself too hard at your age. It seems he's learned from experience, managing to dodge Daoden's incoming bonk. He dodged the fist, but less than 2 seconds later, the sword hilt smacks right onto his head. Daoden hoists the great sword back onto his shoulder, sighing in exasperation as he looks down. You lunatic! My back is killing me from all this walking, and here you are acting cocky just because you picked up some garbage skill. Zeon grovels on the ground, sticking his tongue out and rubbing the smoking lump on his head as he grumbles. I was just joking. I'm practically dying of thirst here, and you still shove my face into the sand. He looks up, snapping. Hey, look at me when I'm talking. Wait a minute, this feeling. Moisture. Am I hallucinating? No. The fact that the old geezer is looking in the exact same direction means the air sparkles with tiny water droplets carried by the wind. Is it really right over there? Just over this dune. An oasis. Zeon frantically sprints ahead, eagerly scrambling up the sand dune. Daoden leisurely follows behind. Zeon's eyes light up, a massive grin spreading across his face. Whoa! It's actually real. Something I'd only ever heard rumors about. Seeing the sparkling, crystal-clear lake amidst the barren desert, Zeon throws his arms wide, cheering joyfully. An oasis! He slides straight down the slope, screaming like a madman. Water! It's water! How many days has it been since I last saw water? Daoden stands with his arms crossed at the top of the dune, frowning and clicking his tongue in annoyance. Zeon rushes toward the water's edge like a moth to a flame, bursting with happiness. Finally, water! Zeon buries his entire face into the freezing, refreshing water, the corners of his mouth curling up in absolute bliss. Submerged in the water, Zeon exclaims in delight. I can feel it! The water is soaking into every single fiber of my being. Zeon rests his hands on the soaked sand, relishing the moment. In the middle of this damn desert that's over 50 degrees Celsius, after so many days, I can finally feel the coolness spreading through my body. While lost in ecstasy, Zeon's eyes suddenly snap open as he notices something off. Wait! Staring down into the deep, dark water, Zeon thinks to himself, what is that? Is that a glowing speck? It's so bright and so warm. Zeon's eyes lose focus, and he mutters unconsciously, this feeling, suddenly, I feel so sleepy. Daoden's fierce roar shatters the silence. Snap out of it, you little shit, you idiot. The old man frantically hoists his greatsword, sprinting madly down the sand dune to the rescue. Zeon remains face down near the water, completely motionless and unconscious of the impending danger, oblivious to Daoden rushing toward him. Just beneath the still surface, a colossal aquatic monster with rows of razor-sharp teeth opens its gaping, pitch-black maw, ready to swallow its prey. That warm, glowing speck was actually just a lure dangling from its head. A rough hand grabs Zeon's collar just in time, violently yanking him backward. From the depths of the water, the giant monster lunges up, baring its razor-sharp fangs, ready to devour its prey. Zeon's eyes bug out in panic as he is launched into the air. Daoden tosses Zeon safely onto the sand, brandishing his greatsword as he charges straight at the pitch-black maw. His hands tightly grip the hilt of the greatsword. A devastating slash cleaves the lake in two, tearing the monster apart and sending colossal pillars of water blasting into the sky. The artificial rain pours down, soaking him to the bone, as Zeon looks up and gasps in awe. Holy shit, is that the thing I've only ever heard stories about? Amidst the hazy mist of water, a brilliant rainbow arcs across the desert sky. So that's a rainbow. Daoden turns his head, calmly explaining. It's a sand anglerfish. It uses the light on its forehead to lure prey before swallowing them whole. Zeon replies blankly. I see. The old man squeezes his eyes shut, letting out a long, heavy sigh of absolute exasperation. Deoden throws a brutal punch right into Zeon's face, sending him tumbling back into the sand. Zeon holds his cheek, looking up in shock. Deoden grits his teeth and barks. "Where the hell did you throw everything I taught you, idiot? Just because you got a little used to this place, you think you're some big shot." The crazy old man roars furiously. "Idiots like you are the first ones to die in this desert. You hear me, you little brat?" Zeon hangs his head dejectedly and replies, "Yes, sir." Deoden sighs in annoyance. He jerks his chin toward the demonic beast's corpse. "Start skinning it." Zeon blankly repeats, "Skinning it?" Deoden explains calmly. The sand anglerfish is a C-rank beast. Its belly skin is soft and elastic, the perfect material for a cloak. Cut it up and make yourself one. Zeon widens his eyes and asks innocently, "Do you need a new cloak, sir?" Old man Deoden pinches his forehead, suppressing his anger with a heavy sigh. He points straight at Zeon's face, roaring right into it. "Not for me, for you. Make it for yourself, you absolute idiot. How are you getting dumber by the second? There's gotta be a reason. Is your left brain petrified and your right brain corroded or something?" Deafened by the screaming to the point his ears are bleeding, Zeon forces a tearful smile.
I'm sorry.
And the two stand tiny beneath the colossal, flattened carcass on the sand. Zeon evaluates it thoughtfully. Although it's changed quite a bit, the sand anglerfish looks a lot like a fish that used to live on Earth. Old man Deoden says indifferently, "This is probably the first time you've ever seen a fish, so take a good look. Or don't, I don't give a damn." Zeon mutters, bewildered. "That's a fish." He stares intently at the massive, fleshy carcass. "I've never actually seen a fish before." Zeon plunges his knife into the rough skin, shivering slightly. Fish are terrifying. He struggles to carve every cut. Deoden stands with his hands behind his back, tossing out sarcasm. "Are you scratching its back? With how gentle you're being, you must be trying to bring this dead fish back to life." Zeon snaps furiously. "Stop it. I'll do it myself." Standing before the mountain-sized carcass, he steps back to assess it. "This skin is tougher than I thought." If that's the case, Zeon half closes his eyes, concentrating completely as he channels glowing mana into the knife in his hand. Focus, focus. The razor-sharp blade slices smoothly through the monster's skin, channeling mana into the knife to sharpen the cutting edge. He busily carves a sharp piece of bone, slicing the fins thin to use as a sewing needle. Zeon holds up the bone needle and thread, calculating smugly. "And if I use the tendons from its meat as thread?" His eyes widen, sparking with a brilliant realization of truth. "This is..." Zeon looks dejectedly at the tangled mess of skin on the sand.
I'm ruined.
Deoden leans leisurely against the beast's corpse, mocking him. "Idiot, you just turned a perfectly good fish into a pile of trash." Zeon hypes himself up, shouting loudly, "All right, I still have plenty of materials left. Let's go again." Old man Deoden watches, a smug smirk forming on his lips. Night falls, draping the barren desert in darkness. Zeon excitedly holds up his newly sewn cloak, his eyes sparkling. "I did it! It's finally done." He smooths out the folds, smiling with self-satisfaction. "After 8 failures, finally. Man, I could seriously sell this stuff. I'll call it Zeon's Boutique." Deoden's chilling voice rings out from behind. "Hey, idiot!" Zeon startles, hugging his cloak tightly and backing away.
No.
"No way. You can't take it. It's my cloak." The old man holds out a massive, slimy, bleeding organ and growls. "Cut the crap. Eat this." Zeon's eyes widen in disgust at the dripping, viscous mass of flesh. "What is that?" Deoden's monotonous voice orders. "The gallbladder of a sand anglerfish is a rare medicine. Eat every last bit of it. Don't leave a single drop." Zeon asks, trembling, "What if I don't eat it?" Deoden bares his sharp teeth in a savage grin. You'll die. Zeon grimaces, reaching out to take the heavy gallbladder. The old man urges, hurry up and take it. My arm is getting tired. Zeon curses bitterly in his head. I pray both your arms fall off so I can have some peace. Zeon swallows hard, cold sweat pouring down his face. Squeezing his eyes shut, he bites into the slimy organ, bitterly telling himself, all right, fine. Fuck it, it's medicine anyway. It tastes incredibly bitter. But eating this is better than being beaten to death by him. With both cheeks stuffed, Zeon looks down at the massive piece of meat in his hands, bewildered. What the hell is this? He continues to chew voraciously. It feels like eating clouds. No matter how much I stuff into my stomach, I don't feel full at all. Zeon rubs his chest, swallowing the final bite. Well, at least I finished it off quickly. Deoden suddenly speaks up. Hey, idiot. The old man casually turns some meat skewers over a crackling campfire. It's burning time. From deep within Zeon's chest, a blazing red light suddenly erupts. Still oblivious to what's about to happen, he grumbles, what are you rambling about now? A bone-deep, excruciating pain strikes out of nowhere, forcing Zeon to throw his head back and scream like a madman. He doubles over, clutching his chest tightly. It's way past just being hot now. My body, my mana, everything is going completely berserk. It hurts. It feels like there's a sun thrashing around inside my stomach. If this keeps up, I'm really going to explode. Deoden glances back, barking coldly. Endure it, idiot. The old man sits by the fire, resting his sword, calmly preaching. Everything in this world is like this oasis. Sooner or later, you'll vanish into the quicksand, as if you never even existed. Even then, those sand anglerfish will be reborn, and they'll return once again. The old man closes his eyes, rambling on. That is the cycle of life. Zeon thrashes, kicking the sand and screaming curses wildly. Fuck you, you crazy old geezer. His body billowing with smoke, he clutches his chest, roaring in agony. Cut the sentimental crap. Help me out here. Deoden merely glances over his shoulder calmly, completely ignoring the kid's life or death struggle. Night falls, enveloping the space. Zeon's tragic screams still tear through the sky. I swear I'm going to kill you, you crazy old man. Deoden lies flat on the sand, snapping irritably. Shut your mouth. I'm trying to sleep. The scorching morning sun beats down. Zeon lies flattened, plastered to the sand, weakly gasping from exhaustion. Where am I? A wrinkled face suddenly peers down, filling his vision. Deoden rolls his bloodshot eyes back and smiles bizarrely. You awake, idiot? Zeon startles, falling flat on his back and screaming in sheer terror. You scared the crap out of me. I almost had a heart attack. Deoden smirks sarcastically. Sleep well, idiot? Zeon clutches his head, arguing with a grimace. I didn't sleep, I passed out. Deoden asks indifferently. Is that so? Then how does your body feel now? Zeon blankly looks at his hands, muttering. My body? Well, it's still the Sam. He suddenly flinches, clenching his fists as an extraordinary surge of power courses through his veins. Wait, no, it's not. Mana swirls violently around Zeon's chest, blowing away the sand beneath his feet. I feel as light as a grain of sand. My muscles are taut as cables, and my mana is surging like a hurricane. Zeon stands dumbfounded amidst the ribbons of sand spiraling around him, utterly astonished by his new power. What the hell just happened? I suddenly got so much stronger. How did? Deoden turns his head, calmly explaining. That's thanks to the sand anglerfish's gallbladder. The old man leisurely chews on meat next to the massive beast skeleton. The sand anglerfish's gallbladder is a peerless elixir for those who cross the desert. It grants the stamina to withstand the scorching sun and hot sand. To a merchant caravan, it's worth as much as a mana stone. Looks like it worked even better than expected. Congratulations, idiot. Zeon lunges forward, his jaw dropping as he screams in shock. Something that precious? Are you absolutely sure it was okay to give it to me? Deoden glares and snaps. Huh. That's because you're too damn weak. If I have to drag you along, you should at least be somewhat useful. Zeon prances around the sand dune, smugly hyping himself up. Hee hee, I get it. I'll make myself useful. Useful Zeon. Reliable Zeon. Deoden casually orders. Shut your mouth and eat. We aren't leaving until we finish off the rest of this fish's meat. The blazing desert sky beats down on swirling clouds of sand. Deoden places a hand on the giant fish skeleton and speaks. There was more meat than I thought. We've been feasting for 4 straight days. The old man turns his back and walks away. Time to hit the road again, idiot. Zeon smirks with a confident smile. He pulls his cloak tight and eagerly strides after him. Yes, sir. A fierce sandstorm howls, tearing through the massive rock formations. Zeon, pulling his hood tight, casually walks right through the storm. He voraciously chews on his dried meat, muttering, "Is that even a sandstorm? Thanks to my ability, it just feels like a cool breeze, but still." Zeon looks at the old man's silent back ahead and complains. That old geezer really can just walk forever without taking a break. He curses bitterly under his breath. He hasn't said a single word for the past few days. Geez, is he going through male menopause or something? Trudging through the sandstorm, Zeon grumbles. We've been walking for 2 straight weeks. Does he even know where he's going? Suddenly, a giant ant monster breaks through the sand right behind him, glaring with menacing, blood-red eyes. Without even looking back, Zeon casually flicks his wrist, firing a micro sand drill that pierces straight through the monster's brain. Shut up, you little brat. Ignoring the beast's corpse collapsing behind him, Zeon waves his hand tiredly. Just how much farther do we have to walk? From the corner of his eye, he catches something off. Oh? Zeon smirks and comments. You're pretty tough, aren't you? The sand beneath Zeon's feet glows with crisscrossing mana circuits, forming a giant net. He clicks his tongue. I was hoping we could just walk right past. Looks like we're not getting off easy this time. From beneath the glowing mana array, dozens of giant ant monsters simultaneously emerge, tightly surrounding him. These guys aren't messing around. Zeon's eyes glow a brilliant gold, and a violent sandstorm begins swirling around his body. All right, if you're gonna fight, come at me all at once. Zeon forcefully slams his hands onto the sand, activating an explosive offensive power. Because if I'm late, that old man is gonna kill me. The swarm of giant ant monsters violently charges in, swarming Zeon from all sides. Zeon lowers his stance, condensing mana into his palms, and coldly declares, Good, you know how to take orders. Explode. A barrage of razor-sharp sand pillars carrying terrifying force erupts from underground, skewering and crushing the entire ant swarm into a pulp in the blink of an eye. Zeon brushes off his hands and leisurely stands up amidst the dust cloud. Anyway, days with sandstorms are actually pretty great. I mean, there's sand everywhere to use. He suddenly freezes, blankly looking around before screaming in panic when he sees the old man's silhouette disappearing over the horizon. Where did the old geezer go? Huh! Hey, old man! You can't just ditch me like this. Leaving the pile of monster corpses behind, Zeon sprints as fast as his legs can carry him, continuously cursing. Does he not have a shred of decency? No wonder he's still all alone at his age. While running for his life, he suddenly feels a chill and mutters. He didn't hear what I just said, did he? If he did, I'm sorry. For now. Before he can finish, Zeon's eyes suddenly snap wide open in terror. His mana sensory range is currently at a 10-meter radius. He constantly keeps himself on high alert and never lets his guard down, allowing him to react instantly whenever a demonic beast appears. But what Zeon just sensed right now is completely different. What he sensed in this moment isn't just a simple demonic beast. It is absolute terror. From deep beneath the sand, A massive swarm of giant ant monsters, thick as a pitch-black river, breaks through the surface and pours out in droves. He looks back with an expression of sheer panic. Damn it! Just how many of them are there? Where did this army even come from? He casts his gaze toward the distant rock mountain, hoping for a rescue. Old man, there's too many. Deoden calmly sits with his arms crossed on a high cliff, leisurely watching the kids struggle. Xion grits his teeth. No, I can't just keep crying out for his help like a little kid. He spreads his arms wide, standing tall to face the incoming tidal wave of black demonic beasts. There's no way the old man didn't sense these things. That means this is the test he's giving me. The corner of Xion's mouth curls into a manic smile, his golden eyes blazing with killing intent. You damn bugs. Whether it's 1,000 or 10,000 of you, bugs are still just bugs. Massive sand pillars carrying destructive power simultaneously tear through the ground, launching the swarm of beasts high into the sky. Xion braces himself to withstand the violent pressure from the attack, his sharp eyes burning with a fierce fighting spirit. Unexpectedly, from the direction of his attack, an ant breaks through the defensive line and lunges straight at him. Fortunately, he reacts just in time, rolling away to dodge. Damn it! I take back what I just said. Just how many of these bastards are there? His eyes blaze with fury as he snarls. Ganging up on me like cowards. Do you have no shame? Fight me one-on-one if you've got the guts. Dozens of giant ants swarm in, engulfing his small body. Xion gasps in despair. Fuck! A colossal sand pillar erupts violently from the ground, launching everything into the air. A swirling sand vortex expands, sweeping away and repelling the entire pack of demonic beasts around him. Xion conjures a sand launchpad, blasting himself high into the sky. Looking down at the pitch-black swarm of ants beneath him, he breaks into a cold sweat. This is insane. This is a literal fucking anthill. Blood trickles from his forehead. Xion looks up, sighing in relief as he calculates. I need to find the high ground to assess the situation. Luckily, these things can't fight in midair. Before he can finish, he is abruptly yanked violently backward. In midair, Xion turns his head to find a looming ant clamping its jaws tightly onto his leg. On the ground, thousands of giant ant monsters link together, frantically forming a towering, writhing black pillar reaching into the sky. Xion stares wide-eyed at the absurd sight, cold sweat pouring down his face. Are you shitting me? How is this even possible? The monster shrieks, aggressively dragging his leg downward. The massive tower of ants crashes down into the sand, dragging his body down to smash violently against the ground. The brutal impact makes Xion cough up blood, his body bouncing in sheer agony. He collapses on the sand, trembling all over and panting heavily. The swarm of ants quickly crawls in, tightly surrounding him. Bright red blood trails from his temple down his cheek. Xion slowly opens his eyes, a faint but defiant light flickering within. Old man Deoden sits calmly on the high cliff with his arms crossed, coldly observing everything. Xion weakly calls out, Old geezer. He struggles to lift his blood-soaked face, his lips curling into a manic smirk. Pinned to the ground by a giant ant, Xion snaps his head up, breaking into a crazed smile. Just keep your eyes open and watch. Watch how I survive this. Sitting on the cliff, Deoden watches the colossal sand pillar erupt into the sky and speaks with satisfaction. That's more like it, idiot. The old man evaluates thoughtfully. In a world turned into a desert, your ability is practically a blessing. You could have easily used that power to live a life of luxury. Deoden's eyes darken, sharp and stern. But if you did, that's where your story would end. He sweeps his gaze across the vast, desolate desert. Those short-sighted fools don't even know why the world turned out this way. They're just busy clinging to illusions. A true awakener must know how to master, utilize, and evolve their own skills. An image of lifeless bodies standing on a factory assembly line flashes mockingly in his mind. Not become some damn cookie-cutter, mass-produced soldiers. Deoden sits isolated, planting his great sword into the ground amidst the silent wasteland. I still can never forget. The desert wind whips through his stark white hair and cloak. Horrifying memories rush back. A small old man standing before the site of a modern city detonating in a sea of roaring flames. The tragedy from 100 years ago. A bird's-eye view captures the entire city drowning in a colossal sea of fire and death. How utterly powerless I was. So many lives perished pointlessly right before my eyes. My comrades, my neighbors, even my own family. Trembling, blood-soaked hands clutch a lifeless body. And my daughter, too. I couldn't protect a single thing. I lost everyone right in front of me like a helpless idiot. Back to the present. Zeon frantically swings his arms, fighting amidst the swarm of demonic beasts. The old man acknowledges internally. But you are different. Deoden calmly observes the small silhouette struggling for its life. You have the potential to become anything. Throw yourself into the fray and cross the line between life and death. The corner of the old man's mouth curls into a satisfied smile. And as a result, around Zeon, countless blocks of compressed sand swirl violently, hovering and filling the air. You will become stronger, exactly like you are right now. Zeon's blood-soaked face contorts into a manic grin as he roars at the pack of monsters. Can't you feel it? That every single one of you is already dead. The giant ants open their grotesque jaws, aggressively charging straight at their target. A block of compressed sand spirals at a terrifying speed. Zeon smirks. Ultra-high-pressure compressed sand missiles. It's simple and crude, but he swings his arm, firing a sand bullet with devastating power that tears through space, wiping out everything in its path. The ultra-compressed sand warhead spins violently, aiming right at the center of the ant swarm. Zeon calculates coldly. If I pack in extra gravity, wind pressure, and every last drop of my energy. He spreads his arms wide, detonating all the power buried underground. The output will multiply tenfold. Zeon's eyes blaze with madness as he roars fiercely. This is the end of the line for all of you. A terrifying sand explosion levels the ground, blowing everything away. In the hazy epicenter, Zeon triumphantly waves his arm. You couldn't kill me. You lose. Deoden rests his chin on his hand from the cliff, smirking in sheer amusement. Look at this brat, getting all hyped up. The sandstorm gradually settles. Zeon stands panting heavily, surrounded by compressed sand bullets that are still swirling and hovering around him. His small silhouette stands dwarfed in the middle of the devastated battlefield. The ground is severely churned up, forming massive craters that bear witness to the destructive power just unleashed. His bruised, blood-smeared face lights up. Zeon clenches his fists, letting out a roar that releases all his pent-up pressure and pride. He snaps his head up toward the cliff and yells, "Old man, did you see that? I'm gonna slaughter every last." Before he can finish, a massive dark shadow unexpectedly tears through the air and slams violently into him. Zeon's eyes widen, his pupils shrinking in absolute horror. Cold sweat pouring down like rain, he gasps in despair. How is this possible? A giant ant with dead, white eyes suddenly emerges, snatching him tightly from behind. Zeon realizes in terror. It approached without making a single sound. Pierced through the flank by its razor-sharp pincers, Zeon grips them tightly. Active camouflage? No, there's no way these bastards can use such a high-level skill. Then this is poison. Blood streams down his face. A flash of fury appears in his eyes. No wonder. My mana control has been slipping non-stop. Is it a neurotoxin that blocks pressure points? He throws his head back, roaring like a madman. You sons of bitches! You think this is enough to stop me? In response, the monster violently swings its pincers, squeezing Zeon even tighter. His pupils shrink bitterly. Fuck! And with that, he loses consciousness. Dragged down into a dark earthen burrow, Zeon wakes up lying face down. He tiredly scans the dozens of bloodshot eyes lurking in the holes along the cave walls. Where the hell am I? Damn ants! Is this deep inside the anthill? He pants, lying flat on the ground, his eyes catching sight of writhing creatures approaching. Surrounding him is an entire swarm of massive, pure white larvae crawling all over. Larvae? Zeon's gaze suddenly freezes when he spots a severed human arm lying nearby. It seems he's about to become rations for these larvae. A larva opens its grotesque jaws, chomping down on the severed arm right in front of his eyes. Covered by the slimy, squirming larvae, Zeon lies paralyzed, blood trickling from the corner of his eye as he wheezes. I can't move. At this rate, I'm going to be eaten alive. His eyes go blank, staring blankly into the void. Well, I guess. The light in his eyes slowly fades. It's really over. My life is flashing right before my eyes. A fat, plump larva writhes its way over when, suddenly, Zeon's arm swings up and smashes straight down, crushing the larva into a pulp and sending slime splattering everywhere. The sudden strike startles the adult ants nearby, drawing their attention. Amidst the swarm of creatures clinging to his body, Zeon struggles to plant his fists on the ground and push himself up, a bitter, menacing laugh escaping his lips. Heh! Ha ha ha! Fuck this! His face contorts into a manic smile, his golden eyes blazing with fury as he roars. Even as my life flashes by, I don't have a single damn good memory. This joke is way too unfair. I refuse to die like this. Zeon grits his teeth, clenching his fists tightly, completely unaware that the second stripe on his arm has begun to glow brightly. You damn fucking ants!
À deux vastatines compresses de sang d'explosion érupte.
Countless massive, razor-sharp sand spikes pierce through the ground, shredding the space around him. The ant swarm retreats in panic before the overwhelming power. The violent shockwave blasts the hulking monsters back, slamming them hard against the cave walls. The cave ceiling cracks open, and a barrage of massive boulders collapses due to the destructive force of the attack. Amidst the dust-filled air and the razor-sharp sand shards hovering around him, Zeon slowly stands upright. His golden eyes glowing brightly, he stares at his own hands in sheer astonishment. The toxins are completely gone. My stamina and mana are even overflowing. My rank, it's gone up a level. Two brilliant stripes clearly display on the barcode across his wrist. I ranked up. Zeon calmly senses the new flow of energy in his body. My power, my mana, everything is on a completely different level than F rank. Suddenly, his gaze turns ice cold. And yet, staring at the ant that had captured him, he remarks, "You didn't take a single scratch." The colossal ant aggressively charges forward, ramming through a barrage of massive boulders straight at him. Zeon leaps and rolls to dodge, firing a volley of sharp sand spikes in retaliation. You crazy bastard! It crashes through boulders like it's driving through sand. Just how tough is this thing? The sand drills violently strike the monster's armor, but instantly shatter to dust without leaving a single scratch. Sliding across the sand, Zeon grits his teeth, glaring bitterly. Damn it! Not even a single dent. This thing is insane. His hand grips the cracked cave floor tightly. I can't win like this. Zeon's tense gaze observes the colossal beast looming before him. No matter how much I attack right now, I won't be able to leave even a single mark on it. He spreads his arms toward the enemy, his mind calculating frantically. In that case, I have to think. A way to break through this unbreakable armor. The stream of sand beneath his feet begins to swirl, clinging to the monster's legs. Not smash it. Not pierce it. A way to strip that armor right off. Suddenly, ultra-high-pressure sand vortexes aggressively surge around the ant, following his exact commands. His golden eyes blazing, Zeon pours all his mana into a twisting motion and roars. This is it. If I can't break the armor, I'll twist it and rip it clean off your body. With its armor being violently twisted, the giant ant thrashes and struggles madly in resistance. It opens its grotesque jaws wide, charging up a blinding sphere of energy aimed point-blank at his face. Seeing the monster charging its attack, Zeon widens his eyes, bracing himself. He grimaces and roars. You crazy bastard! What the hell is it now? Blood oozes from both his ears. Zeon grits his teeth, enduring the horrifying pressure. A low-frequency sound wave. No, it's high frequency. At this rate, my brain is going to explode. Zeon's body trembles violently under the destructive sound wave. He curses loudly. You son of a bitch! Right up to the bitter end. I can't believe you were still hiding this move. His bleeding golden eyes widen, filled with absolute fury and resolve. All right then, bring it on, you dog. Betting his life on the line, Zeon pours all his power into the twisting motion. Whether I die, or you die. The monster's ultra-hard, armored shell begins to crack and warp violently under the immense pressure. Let's see which one of us kicks the bucket first. Zeon's blood-soaked face contorts in ultimate fury as he screams like a madman. Until one of us is dead. Bring it on, you dog. Suddenly, all mana connections snap. Zeon stares blankly at his hands dropping helplessly in midair. His body loses all strength, collapsing backward. Blood gushes from his eyes and mouth as he mutters bitterly. What the hell is happening? Why is my body fading into darkness? Zeon watches his own trembling hands in despair. Damn it, was that my absolute limit? He collapses onto the cave floor, cursing himself in despair. This useless fucking body, to be this pathetic and weak. A massive figure towers over him, scooping him up. A familiar, mocking voice echoes out. You really are pathetically weak. Old man Deoden smirks, holding Zeon's battered body with one hand. Sleeping here means death. Idiot. Zeon weakly looks up at the old, wrinkled face. The corner of his bloody mouth twitches into a sarcastic smile. Old geezer. He wheezes out his words. I'll let you have the finishing blow. Deoden bursts into hearty laughter. Ah, you cocky little brat. Well, I guess you're not completely useless. Behind them, the giant beast's corpse has been pinned to the ground and cleaved in two by the old man's great sword. He speaks calmly. The wolf ant queen is a C-rank demonic beast. It's vastly stronger than you, but you didn't give up. You fought to the very bitter end. Well done. You've earned the right to live. Zeon smiles bitterly, dark blood still trickling from both his ears. Heh, I can't hear a single damn word you're saying. My eardrums are completely torn to shreds. Deoden hoists him up by the collar, roaring loudly. Oh, so your eardrums are ruptured. The old man just drags him mercilessly across the ground. Zeon grimaces in confusion. Hey, old man, where the hell are you dragging me out of nowhere? Deoden drags him to the edge of a massive pit in the middle of the devastated battlefield. At the bottom of the crater, a faint, eerie purple light glows. Zeon pokes his head over the edge, his eyes widening in surprise. What the hell is this? He points at the glowing orb, looking up at the old man inquiringly. Old man, what is that thing? Deoden presses Zeon's head into the dirt with one hand, using the other to carve giant letters into the rock wall. Ant Queen's egg. Eat it. It's medicine. Tastes like strawberry. Reading the crude letters carved into the wall, Zeon breaks into a cold sweat, cursing internally. What the fuck is this? He wants me to eat it? Eat that thing? His face clearly shows extreme bewilderment as he stares at the glowing egg. Is that even edible? Zeon looks up at the old man, carefully swallowing hard to probe. Old man, just in case, let me ask this first. This isn't going to be as agonizing as swallowing that sand anglerfish's gallbladder, right? Old man Deoden looks down, casually dropping a bombshell. You'll probably die if you eat that. With his ruptured eardrums, Zeon can only grimace and mutter, "Damn it, I can't hear a word he's saying." He squeezes his eyes shut, sweating profusely in tension. I don't even know what strawberry tastes like, but Zeon risks it all, opening his mouth wide and sticking out his tongue to give the glowing egg a lick.
All right. Fine.
It's not like this thing is actually gonna kill me. The moment he tastes it, his eyes widen, his face lighting up with astonishment and excitement. Oh, what the hell is this? It's incredibly delicious. He opens his eyes wide, greedily asking for more. Is there any more? But before he can finish, his pupils suddenly shrink. Huh? Countless razor-sharp, blood-red spikes abruptly burst out from within his body, tearing through his flesh and clothes. Zeon collapses, stammering, "Old man? What's happening?" A horrifying, body-shredding pain hits him.
Organ reversal syndrome.
It literally means the twisting and completely turning inside out of the entire intestinal tract. The ant queen's egg is actually a lethal, deadly poison. Just a small amount is enough to force a human's internal organs to completely invert. Zeon's body writhes violently. The organs of whoever consumes it will be pierced and twisted as if shredded by 1,000 spikes, until they die in the excruciating agony of their insides turning inside out. Tears streaming down his face, Zeon thrashes in a pool of blood, veins bulging on his contorted face. He screams madly. "What the hell is this? What the fuck did you just make me eat?" Deoden picks his ear and grumbles. "You're too damn noisy. If you want to survive in this crazy world, you'd better get used to it." Zeon puffs his cheeks out, veins popping prominently on his forehead as he tries to suppress the violent churning in his stomach. How am I supposed to get used to this? He doubles over, violently vomiting a pool of thick, pitch-black liquid. Looking at his hands stained with the viscous black blood, he wheezes out a curse. Damn it! A fleeting memory of the tiny glimmer of hope he had just felt flashes mockingly through his mind. My shitty life. In the end, I actually thought I finally had someone I could trust. But in the end, I really am just... Zeon buries his face into the freezing ground, bitter tears welling up and mixing with his blood. Just an idiot to you, aren't I, old man? He squeezes his eyes shut, his battered body collapsing onto the earth as he loses consciousness completely. Ignoring Zeon's life or death, Deoden casually approaches the Ant Queen's corpse. Now let's see. The old man swings his arm, forcefully punching right through the beast's thick hide and flesh. Deoden's rough hand plunges deep into the queen's grotesque, slimy abdomen, seemingly rummaging around for something. The old man violently yanks a sparkling mana stone out from the queen's carcass. Deoden holds the glowing stone high, laughing with sheer delight. Just as I thought, a demonic beast's mana stone is on a completely different level than that garbage they mine down there. Hit the jackpot. He sweeps his gaze over the colossal corpse. Since these ants look pretty useful too, I'll take the whole lot. He glances back slightly toward his sword. The old man's usually sharp, cold gaze softens as he murmurs thoughtfully to his blade. My friend. He coldly evaluates Zeon's battered, spike-pierced body. Yeah, I know, but there was no other way. If he's weak, he dies. That is his fate. Deoden decisively turns his back and walks away, leaving Zeon's small silhouette slumped on the freezing ground. The old man's figure gradually vanishes into the darkness of the cave. He whispers, "You know it as well as I do, that we don't have much time left." An unknown amount of time later, in the silent space, Zeon's blurry vision slowly clears. He wheezes weakly, "Am I still alive?" Deoden looks down at him and smirks. "Hey, so you finally woke up, idiot." Suddenly, a violent sand explosion erupts, sending dirt and rocks flying everywhere. Deoden stands calmly with his arms crossed amidst the dust cloud. Well, you cocky little brat. Stop kicking up all this dust, you little shit. The old man raises an eyebrow, staring in sheer amusement. Oh? Look at you. Radiating killing intent, Zeon summons dozens of giant, spinning sand drills, entirely surrounding his target. Deoden bursts into mocking laughter. Are you seriously trying this? Idiot. With the sharp tips pointed right at his face, Deoden grimaces. Hey idiot, drop this childish tantrum and just… Without letting the old man finish, Zeon unleashes a massive sandstorm sweeping straight at him. Why? A terrifying explosion of impact tears through the air. Zeon screams frantically, Why did you try to kill me? The hurricane continues to violently chew up the cave walls. Why? Amidst the thick dust, his golden eyes blazing with murder, Zeon extends his battered hand forward, gritting out every word. I will never forgive you. He manipulates the sand on the cave ceiling, slicing the sharp boulders above so they come crashing down. Using the falling rocks as momentum, he rockets straight toward Deoden to attack. Though his body is exhausted, his eyes glare fiercely ahead as he pants heavily. Zeon snaps. I'm asking you, why did you try to kill? Deoden coldly cuts him off. What the hell are you doing, idiot? The old man stands with his arms crossed, completely unscathed amidst the hazy rubble caused by the attack. I know the queen's egg had toxins that rotted your brain, but couldn't you use whatever's left of it to think? Zeon's eyes widen in shock. What the hell? He just stood there and took the attack head-on? And doesn't have a single scratch. Deoden looks at him in sheer exasperation. Seriously, idiot. You're the kind of weakling who'd die if I just flicked your forehead. Why would I go through the trouble of poisoning you just to kill you? Zeon chokes on his words, his hand unconsciously coming up to rub his chest awkwardly. I guess you're right? An image of Zeon's battered, spike-pierced body from earlier flashes by. The old man calmly explains. The ant queen's egg is a lethal poison that twists and pierces internal organs, but it also cleanses toxins and impurities from every nook and cranny of the body. Depending on how it's used, it can be a deadly poison or a miracle elixir. It purged all the garbage out of your body. The old man continues explaining. And filled that void with mana. You felt it when you attacked just now, didn't you? The mana circuits on Zeon's body glow blindingly bright. That your mana capacity has increased 3 or 4 times over. Zeon blankly realizes his benefactor's true intentions, looking up with sparkling eyes. Old man. He instantly does a 180, rushing over to hug Deoden while bawling dramatically. I'm so sorry for doubting you. I wasn't in my right mind. How could I ever doubt you, old man? Deoden grimaces, pushing the kid's head away. All right, you idiot. I get it, now get the hell away from me. Being hugged by a guy is disgusting. Zeon clings stubbornly to his shirt, snot and tears running down his face as he argues. I hate it too, you know? Wait, I can hear again. It even has healing properties. The old man sighs, prying the kid's hands off. Idiot. What kind of man cries like this? Let go. Zeon stubbornly clings tighter. No way. I haven't hugged you enough yet. Turning his back on him, Deoden shoulders his greatsword, muttering thoughtfully to his sword friend. Yeah, I know, buddy. The truth is, that kid really could have died. He glances back at Zeon, who is now lying exhausted on the ground, and breaks into an internal cold sweat. That was way too close. He'll forgive me since it all worked out, right? He only survived because he was strong enough himself. Deoden's hand clenches into a fist. But if he doesn't get stronger quickly, he'll be useless to me. That really was a reckless gamble. The old man abruptly hoists Zeon up, pinning him under his armpit and dragging him along while laughing heartily. All right, let's get moving, idiot. Don't you dare forgive me, you moron. Dangled helplessly in the air, Zeon is utterly confused. Ha! Pinned under the old man's armpit, Zeon grimaces and grumbles. Old man? Why are you carrying me like this again? The corner of Daeodon's mouth curls into a sly smirk. The old man looks up at the cave ceiling. We're out of time. Gotta get the hell out of here. Fast. Zeon breaks into a cold sweat, his intuition screaming that something is wrong. Damn it. No way. On the scorching desert surface, two demonic scorpion beasts hiss and snap their pincers, fighting over a scrap of meat. Suddenly, a colossal pillar of sand tears through the ground, erupting violently into the sky. Daeodon carries Zeon as they ride atop a massive wave of sand, rocketing forward at a terrifying speed while he laughs heartily. How's this, idiot? Much faster, right? With his face flapping in the intense wind, Zeon screams. It's way too fast. Damn it. Can't we just walk normally for once? The old man looks back to taunt him. Then you shouldn't have slept like a log for 4 damn days. He clicks his tongue mockingly. You're truly pathetic. How are you ever gonna find a wife like this? Suddenly, Daeodon's eyes sharpen, and he frowns as he looks ahead. Wait a minute. What is that? Zeon mutters dejectedly. What the hell is it now? Nothing can surprise me anymore. The moment the words leave his mouth, Zeon's eyes go wide, cold sweat pouring down his face. Huh? A colossal demonic beast looms like a mountain of rock, blotting out the blazing sky. Zeon screams in terror. Holy shit! What the fuck is that? The monster's massive silhouette reflects in his eyes. It's almost 30 kilometers away. How can a demonic beast possibly be that huge? Surfing on the sandstorm, Daeodon clicks his tongue. They never give me a moment's peace. That's the mobile fortress, Archilon. Zeon is stunned. Archilon. The old man casually continues. Yeah, it's a B-rank turtle-type demonic beast, but its defense surpasses even an A rank. People modified its shell and tamed it to use as a transport vehicle. Zeon yells in shock. You mean they actually ride that crazy monster? Daeodon stands with his arms crossed, smirking. Exactly. Open your eyes wide and take a good look, idiot. Zeon's jaw drops in awe, his mind completely blown. This world is unimaginably vast. The two land on the sand. Daeodon looks up at the massive mobile cliff face. And there are monsters entirely capable of riding demonic beasts like that one. The colossal stone turtle takes a step, casting a dense black shadow that covers the ground. See for yourself with your own 2 eyes. Suddenly, a figure leaps down from above. A figure plummets from the sky, slamming into the earth and kicking up a massive pillar of blinding sand. Amidst the dust cloud, an old man wearing a monocle slowly raises his head, smiling as he remarks that he wasn't entirely sure since they were so far away, but it really is him. Zeon points in shock, yelling to ask who the hell this is. Daeodon coldly growls, telling him to stand still, idiot. The mysterious old man glares sharply through his monocle, his deep voice stating that it's been a long time. With his hands clasped behind his back, he stands tall, revealing a long, pure white beard covering his chest, and calls out Daeodon's name. Daeodon bursts into hearty laughter, raising a hand in greeting and replying that it's been a while, noting that it looks like he's lost a few more teeth. Pavilsa. Pavilsa sighs heavily in annoyance, retorting that Daeodon is the abnormal one for still being so damn energetic at over 100 years old. Zeon sweats profusely, standing dwarfed between the two monster-like old men. Pavilsa probes, asking what wind blew Daeodon here since this isn't exactly his territory. Daeodon calmly replies that it's because scavengers are swarming that area. Pavilsa glares disdainfully, mocking the fact that Daeodon had to run away from some measly scavengers, stating he's clearly lived a long life for nothing. Daeodon immediately snaps back, claiming that's called wisdom, unlike being a brute like him. Zeon frowns, breaking into a cold sweat as he mutters in absolute bewilderment. Aren't people supposed to get weaker as they age? What the hell are these old geezers eating to be so absurdly strong? Pavilsa strokes his beard and looks up, letting out an ear-piercing whistle. Behind him, a colossal, long-necked demonic beast slowly rears its head from the sea of sand. Pavilsa clicks his tongue, concluding to just drop it, as talking to Deoden is a waste of breath. The monster's massive shadow falls over them. Zeon looks up, contrasting sharply with the towering presence of Deoden and Pavilsa. Staring up at the beast, Zeon breaks into a cold sweat and mutters, "Man, this is seriously insane." The colossal Archilon glides by, dropping a rope ladder. Pavilsa turns his back and orders, "Let's go." Weighed down by the oppressive aura, Zeon shrinks back, pulling his cloak collar high and glancing around warily. A giant, pitch-black eye peers down from the cliff face. Zeon startles, telling himself, "I'd better just keep my mouth shut around here." Pavilsa glances back at Zeon, speaking in a monotone voice, "That's a face I haven't seen before." The old man clicks his tongue and bluntly asks Deoden, "Is he your subordinate?" Deoden smirks, grabbing Zeon by the hood and lifting him effortlessly as he replies casually, "Well, I decided to do my part for the environment, so I picked up some trash along the way." Pavilsa turns toward the rope ladder, scoffing, "I never thought someone like you would actually bring anyone along." Adjusting his monocle, Pavilsa concludes thoughtfully, "The world must truly be coming to an end." While climbing up behind them, Zeon pokes his head over the edge and gapes in shock, "Holy shit!" Staring at a bustling town built right on the back of the colossal Archilon, Zeon gasps in awe. "What the hell is this? What is this place?" Deoden explains nonchalantly, "This is the Mort family." Zeon looks back, bewildered. "A family? You mean they all share the same bloodline?" Looking down at the crowd happily going about their business below, Deoden sneers, "That's right, they're all direct descendants of Pavilsa. A bunch of idiots who delude themselves into thinking they're the chosen ones, but in reality, they'd be completely useless without Archilon." Walking up the stairs ahead, Pavilsa snorts coldly, "What the hell do you know about my family to go barking like that?" Deoden snaps back, "I know too damn much, actually. They're just a bunch of parasites who'll be abandoned by Archilon the moment you kick the bucket. Right?" Standing nearby, Zeon can only watch in stunned silence as the two old men bicker. Pavilsa stays silent for a beat, then replies coldly, "Let's talk about that later." Deoden angrily stomps his heel hard against the magmarock floor. Deoden crosses his legs, leaning back casually on the sofa, urging Pavilsa, who sits opposite him, "All right, let's inspect the goods first, shall we?" Pavilsa replies calmly, "Be my guest." Zeon huddles in the corner, observing intently. Deoden raises a hand, instantly summoning a swirling spatial black hole right in the middle of the room. From the endless abyss, a colossal mountain of loot, gold, silver, jewels, weapons, and beast skulls pours out, crashing onto the floor. Gripping the edge of the table, Zeon stares at the mountain of loot, his jaw dropping in shock as he exclaims, "Holy shit! What is all this? Just how many creatures did you kill?" Deoden replies coldly, "You'll be joining that pile soon enough." Curious, Zeon turns and asks, "Hey old man, I've been wondering, are you a magic type? Where the hell did you pull all this out from?" Sitting imperiously, Deoden frowns in annoyance and barks, "You don't even know about subspace? I can't believe I'm traveling with such a colossal idiot." Opposite them, Pavilsa picks up a gemstone, carefully appraising it. Zeon bares his fangs, yelling furiously, "Would it kill you to just give a straight answer?" Deoden immediately raises an elbow, getting ready to bonk the kid's head as he grumbles, "Look at this little brat. You dare talk back to me?" Pavilsa holds up a glowing beast fong, nodding in praise. Impressive as always. Every single piece is top-tier quality, not a single scratch. Deoden leans in, speaking with utter pragmatism. "Cut the flattery. How much can you pay me?" Pavilsa looks up, staring right into the crazy old man's eyes, and probes, "So what do you want? It's not like you have much use for mana stones anyway." Pavilsa laughs teasingly, "Or should I just pay you in mana stones?" Instantly, Deoden draws the hilt of his sword and presses it right against his throat. The old man with the monocle breaks into a cold sweat, hastily trying to defuse the situation. Come on now, I was just joking. You really have zero sense of humor. Sheathing his sword, Deoden calmly takes a sip of tea, ignoring Zeon, who sits next to him with smoking, swollen lumps on his head. The old man calmly lays out his demand. I want a chest plate made from the carcass of a wolf ant queen. Deoden's rough hand gently swirls the tea in his cup. His deep voice continues, and Deoden adds his next demand. I want another subspace tool. Zeon sits beside him with a gloomy face, the top of his head still smoking from the recent bonk. Pavilsa picks his ear in confusion, asking, what do you need a chest plate for? Besides, your subspace storage is already full anyway. Deoden suddenly grabs Zeon's hood, jerking him backward, and answers coldly, those aren't for me. He hoists Zeon up, declaring bluntly, they're for this idiot. Zeon completely ignores him, casually raising his teacup for a sip. Pavilsa's pupils dilate in surprise behind his monocle, letting out a soft "oh." Watching Zeon obediently sipping tea, Pavilsa secretly evaluates. To think the great Deoden actually cares for someone else. That kid must be incredibly useful to him. The bespectacled old man whips around toward the massive door and calls out loudly for Kaylee. The intricately carved metal doors slowly creak open, and steady footsteps echo as someone walks inside. Deoden sits with his arms crossed, leaning back imposingly on the sofa, while Zeon looks up curiously at the newly arrived figure. Zeon's eyes widen in amazement, a faint blush creeping onto his cheeks as he lets out a breathless wow. A heavily geared-up girl steps in and asks, You called for me, sir? The girl in goggles asks, confused, Grandpa. Sitting behind them, Zeon stares unblinkingly and blurts out, She's gorgeous. Pavilsa leans in to ask his granddaughter, Do you still have that subspace bracelet you made before? The girl brings a finger to her lips, replying, I don't have a bracelet, but I do have a gauntlet. The enchantment was such a success that I've been keeping it safe. Pavilsa immediately orders, That gauntlet. Give it to that kid over there. The girl gasps in utter shock. What? But it's incredibly precious. Deoden chimes in with a hearty laugh. Oh, so that little brat actually became an enchanter? The girl startles upon recognizing him and greets him awkwardly. Huh? Hello. You're as energetic as ever. The crazy old man nods in praise. Enchanters are rare even in Neo-Soul, truly fitting for Pavilsa's granddaughter. You've picked up quite a useful skill. The girl replies awkwardly, Ah, yes, thank you. Pavilsa steps in, cutting the conversation short. Pavilsa shoos her away politely. You're probably feeling uncomfortable, so you should head out. And don't forget to tell Noelle to craft a chest plate. The girl huffs and turns away, grumbling, Understood, before glaring at Zeon and snapping, Hey you, follow me. I'll give you that gauntlet. Zeon's eyes light up, and he eagerly runs after her. Yes, ma'am. I'm coming right now. The doors close, leaving the two old men in silence as they watch the silhouettes of the two youngsters disappear. Under the blazing sun of the bustling town, Zeon trails closely behind Kaylee along the busy cobblestone street. Kaylee suddenly glances back, frowning at Zeon as she interrogates him. Hey, what exactly is your relationship with that monster anyway? Zeon points at his own face, sweating nervously as he stammers. A monster? Oh, you mean the old geezer? We just bumped into each other by chance, and now I'm being dragged around everywhere. Kaylee lunges forward in a panic, grabbing him and yelling, What? By chance? And he's dragging you around everywhere while you're still breathing. That monster is actually doing that. Being shaken violently by the collar, Zeon's gaze softens in deep empathy as he thinks to himself, Ah, this woman, I can see right through her. She must be suffering from the exact same illness. The horrifying memory of the crazy old man tearing the ant queen apart with his bare hands surfaces. Deoden, eyes glowing red, roared that demonic beasts taste best when ripped apart by hand. Recalling that brutal scene, Zeon just clicks his tongue and finishes his thought. She's got the same PTSD as me. Kaylee turns back and walks ahead, warning him, well, you'd better be careful anyway, because he's literally a monster wearing human skin. Zeon trudges behind her, muttering, trust me, I know too damn well. Kaylee stops, resting her hands proudly on her hips in front of a massive metal door. Zeon looks up and asks, is this the place? Kaylee flashes a radiant, snaggle-toothed smile, brimming with pride as she answers, bingo, this is my workshop. The door swings open, and Kaylee proudly tells him to try not to be too shocked, as he's probably never seen anything like this in his entire life. Zeon stands rooted to the spot, his jaw dropping in absolute awe. Zeon's eyes widen to their limits as he gasps in utter amazement. This is... Before him lies a colossal workshop overflowing with weapons. Zeon asks, bewildered, are all these... equipment? Kaylee places her hands on her hips, confirming smugly that yes, every single item here was crafted by her own hands. Aside from dungeon drops, they are all flawless masterpieces. Kaylee hugs the gauntlet tightly, rubbing her cheek against it in pure infatuation, as she boasts about the perfect harmony between its armored starfish frame and adamantium metal. She gushes that not only does it have a subspace storage, but also a recovery function, making it the masterpiece of masterpieces. Zeon's face lights up, and he smiles brightly, asking curiously, recovery? You mean it can repair itself? Kaylee enthusiastically confirms with a wide grin, adding that it even possesses the fire attribute. She asserts that depending on the fire-type gear he pairs it with, he'll turn into an unimaginably powerful monster. Hearing how insanely overpowered the item is, Zeon breaks into a cold sweat and asks hesitantly, can I really just take something like this? Kaylee looks away, crossing her arms reluctantly as she replies, well, Grandpa told me to give it to you, so I don't really have a choice. Zeon joyfully grasps the gauntlet, grinning from ear to ear. Kaylee adds a strict warning that he can only place an item into the storage once, and it can never be taken out again, so he'd better remember that well. Zeon eagerly replies, got it, I'll accept it with Grady. He reaches out to take the gauntlet but freezes when he realizes Kaylee is still gripping it tightly, refusing to let go. The two begin a fierce tug of war. Both Zeon and Kaylee desperately yank the gauntlet toward themselves, screaming at each other, neither willing to yield. Kaylee snaps, no way, I refuse to hand my precious child over to a nobody like you. Dragged across the floor, Zeon grits his teeth and yells back, then what the hell do you want me to do? Damn it! Snatching the gauntlet away, Zeon hugs it tightly to his chest, smirking triumphantly to mock her. Sorry, but it's mine now. The child you raised with such care belongs to me. Suddenly, a terrifying tremor strikes, shaking the entire workshop. Dust and debris fall from the ceiling, causing both Zeon and Kaylee to freeze and look up in alarm. Seeing Kaylee's furious, wide-eyed glare, Zeon sweats bullets, clutching the gauntlet and muttering to himself, should I just give it back? But instantly, Kaylee's expression shifts drastically as she screams, that's not it. Kaylee's face reveals sheer, unadulterated panic as she yells, that was Archelon's cry. They're here. Zeon startles, yelling back in confusion. They? Who the hell are they? Kaylee doesn't answer. She grits her teeth, swallowing hard as she stares up at the ceiling with an incredibly anxious and guarded expression. The scene shifts back to the previous room. Deoden is still lounging casually on the sofa, ignoring the world, while Pavilsa stands calmly with his hands behind his back, staring up at the ceiling in wait. Pavilsa's eyes flash with a cold, sharp glint behind his monocle, and he mutters in a deep voice, those persistent leeches. Outside the fortress, a group of people riding demonic beasts is madly charging toward Archelon. Pavilsa's voice continues, it's the scavengers. Kaylee frantically scrambles up the stairs, dragging Zeon along as he yells to confirm, scavengers? Kaylee runs for her life, confirming decisively, yes. While running for their lives, Kaylee urgently explains that they're a notorious gang whose influence has been expanding rapidly lately. Zeon frowns in tension, demanding, "Who exactly are they?" Kaylee growls out the name of the Black Shark Pirates. She reveals that their captain is a crazy bastard who awakened as a D-rank, and every single high-ranking officer under him is a professional scavenger awakener. Kaylee's face drains of all color. She grits her teeth in fury, adding, "They don't just rob people. They're psychopaths who will kill without a second thought." The two skid to a halt in front of a massive metal door. Zeon gasps in shock. What? How can he be that aggressive if he's only a D-rank? Without waiting to open the door properly, Kaylee bursts inside, frantically screaming for her grandfather. Zeon slips in right behind her, equally on edge. Unlike his panicked granddaughter, Pavilsa stands calmly with his hands behind his back, while Deoden is still chilling on the sofa, uncaring. Kaylee frantically tries to report. There. Pavilsa cuts her off calmly. "I saw them too." Sweating nervously, Kaylee suggests, "Should we move Arch Elon and hide?" Old man Pavilsa coldly dismisses the idea, stating that they would just catch up to them in no time anyway. Pavilsa's wrinkled hand clenches into a tight fist. His deep, commanding voice echoes out, declaring firmly, "Now is the time to fight back." Kaylee speaks with tense determination. "Understood. I will gather the fighters immediately." Suddenly, a cold voice cuts in. "No." Deoden stomps his heel hard onto the floor, speaking with absolute authority. "We don't need your people. We'll handle this ourselves." Kaylee freezes, staring blankly as she stammers in confusion. "Huh? What?" In the background, Deoden calmly raises his cup to take a sip of water. The crazy old man lowers his cup and turns to Zeon, calling out bluntly, "Hey you!" Out of pure instinct, Zeon replies, "Yeah, what?" Deoden jerks his chin, ordering, "You take care of this." Zeon startles, pointing a finger at himself as he stammers, "Huh? Me?" Deoden glares, lunging forward and roaring, "That's right, kid. You took their treasure, so are you just going to sit back and do nothing? You have to repay the favor." Being yelled at right in the face, Zeon screams back in despair, "But how am I supposed to beat a D-rank?" Zeon's face drops, sweat rolling down his cheeks as he hears the cold, heartless retort. "So what?" Deoden casually raises an eyebrow, looking down at him with a highly provocative tone. "Are you scared?" Hearing those words leave the old man's mouth, Zeon freezes. Scene transition. Zeon's small silhouette, wrapped in his cloak, walks alone through the churning sandstorm, heading straight ahead to face the scavengers. Zeon grits his teeth, furiously muttering curses under his breath. "Fuck. God damn it." Sweating bullets, he angrily kicks himself. "I can't believe I fell for such a cheap provocation. That old geezer is incredibly sly and definitely a master at playing these kinds of mind games." Zeon reaches out, manipulating the swirling sand around him to calm himself down. He sighs and tells himself, "Calm down. I don't have time for this." He squeezes his eyes shut, taking a deep breath to steel his nerves. Looking toward the scavengers riding beasts through the hazy sandstorm, Zeon frowns and calculates. "They'll be here in about 5 minutes. I need to figure out." He raises his hand wearing the subspace gauntlet, staring at it as his eyes sharpen. Zeon's gloved hand slowly clenches into a fist filled with resolve as he mutters, "A way to defeat an awakener." His golden eyes blazing, Zeon grits out every word. "Whose rank is higher than mine?" Atop the fortress, Pavilsa stands next to Deoden amidst the blinding sandstorm. The bespectacled old man asks tentatively, "Deoden, is this really okay?" Deoden crosses his arms, retorting calmly, "Is what okay?" Pavilsa frowns and replies, "I'm asking if it's okay to leave that kid all alone. Didn't you say he's only an E-rank?" Deoden answers with absolute indifference. "If he loses, he dies. Simple as that." Pavilsa glances at his old friend, sighing as he notes that he's just as extreme as ever. The old man continues thoughtfully. Even a tiger cub can be bitten to death by a dog if it's too young. The white-bearded old man looks off into the distance, his voice dropping with hidden meaning. However, if that kid can truly bear his fangs. Zeon startles, looking up as he hears a voice echoing from the top of Archilon. Pavilsa looks down at his small silhouette and shouts, "Hey kid!" Standing next to a coldly unbothered Deoden, Pavilsa cups his hands around his mouth, pouring all his strength into a roar through the sandstorm, instructing Zeon to remember only one thing. Amidst the howling sandstorm that obscures his vision, Zeon lowers his head, biting his lip and clenching his fists, carefully etching every single mysterious word he just heard into his mind. In the distance, the bandit squad riding demonic beasts charges in blindly. One thug cheers smugly that they've finally caught up. The guy riding next to him asks their captain, Gawain, if they should have the boys pick out a few useful ones to sell for a quick buck. Beneath the heavy bandages wrapping half his face, the leader's torn mouth slowly curls into a crazed, bloodthirsty smile. Gawain's bloodshot eyes blaze, and a violent killing intent erupts around the D-rank tyrant. He roars his refusal, ordering the entire crew to chop off the limbs of everyone up there and throw them down as food for Archilon. The moment the order is given, the scavengers hoist their gleaming weapons to the sky, howling savagely and cheering each other on as they charge forward to begin the slaughter. A scavenger swings his sword, spurring his beast forward and screaming, "Let's carve it into their minds that we are the Black Shark Pirates." The entire aggressive squad charges straight toward the colossal Archilon, their roars echoing through the sandstorm. Time to slaughter! Suddenly, the moment the lead beast's hoof stomps hard onto the sand, an unexpected disaster strikes. The sand beneath their feet abruptly caves in, causing the demonic beast to stumble and faceplant, launching the scavenger leader high into the air in utter bewilderment. Flung into the sky, he hastily performs a mid-air somersault to land, looking down at the sand vortex that is swallowing his mount whole. Beneath his bandages, Captain Gawain's bloodshot eyes go wide with horror as he gasps in panic. What is this? Right beneath their feet, the sand abruptly splits open, forming a bottomless abyss that swallows the demonic beasts and his subordinates. The scavengers free-fall into the pit, screaming in panic that the sand is splitting and frantically yelling for a retreat. The churning quicksand continuously caves in, dragging everything down to the bottom and burying their desperate cries for retreat in vain. Barely escaping the sinkhole, a sweating Gawain looks back and gasps in shock. Did the sand just move? A female subordinate, Kling, rushes over from behind, anxiously asking if her captain is all right. Gawain clenches his fists, gritting his teeth as he growls, asking Kling if those bastards laid a trap. The female subordinate raises her hand, confidently replying that there was absolutely no trap set here. While she is busy deducing that one of them must be the mastermind behind this trap, Kling is abruptly locked in a tight chokehold from behind. Her eyes roll back in terror as she feels the freezing killing intent from the dark silhouette with glowing eyes. She stammers in panic, "What? Since when?" Seeing his subordinate restrained right in front of his eyes, Gawain's gaze flares with bloodshot fury. He roars, "You bastard! Take your hands off her right now!" Before the words even leave his mouth, a massive cluster of razor-sharp sand spikes violently erupts from the ground, impaling Kling clean through, right under the captain's nose. Fresh blood splatters, dyeing the bandages on his face red. Gawain's eyes widen to their absolute limits, utterly stunned by the incredibly brutal finishing blow. As a rain of blood pours down around him, Gawain stands rooted to the spot, his fists clenched and trembling, unable to process the horrifying scene that just flashed before him. From behind Kling's bloody corpse, Zeon's silhouette slowly emerges through the crimson rain, cold and ruthless as a desert demon. He leisurely raises the back of his hand to wipe away the metallic blood splattered on his cheek. His gaze unflinching, he stares straight at the enemy and coldly drops a single word, "Next." Immediately, another scavenger charges like a madman from behind, swinging his sword for a sneak attack. A blazing red flash cuts through the air, aiming straight for Zeon, while he continues to stand there calmly, without so much as a twitch. The scavenger's explosive attack slices through everything around it. The scavenger who launched the sneak attack widens his eyes in terror, staring through the slits of his mask. He trembles internally, wondering just what kind of freak he's dealing with. He realizes his fatal slash was completely useless. It wasn't that Zeon had dodged. He had manipulated a layer of steel-hard protective sand to block the attack effortlessly. Seeing the situation turn grim, Captain Gawain yells out from behind, calling the scavenger's name, Masamoto, to warn his comrade. Gawain screams for his comrade to look down at his feet. Instantly, Masamoto realizes in horror that razor-sharp sand spikes are surging up from the ground. In sheer panic, the scavenger Masamoto violently swings his sword down at the swirling sand beneath him, desperately trying to carve out a path to survival. Unable to hold back any longer, Captain Gawain personally charges forward, cocking a fist filled with killing intent as he roars furiously, "You little brat! What kind of devilry are you pulling?" A terrifying wave of sand erupts the moment Gawain's fist arrives, forming an impenetrable defensive wall that completely shields Zeon from the explosive attack. Gawain looks in bewilderment at the overwhelming mass of material churning before him. He gapes in sheer shock. What is this? Is this sand? He quickly regains his ferocious demeanor, gritting his teeth and cursing that the kid has just been pulling cheap parlor tricks this whole time. He roars a challenge. "You think this little bit of sand can do anything to me?" Gawain throws a blazing, explosive punch as he charges in, roaring, "You think you can stop me?" Barely dodging and retreating, Gawain hastily yells out to his comrade, "Masamoto, this brat seems to be controlling something. Pincer attack now." But before he can even finish his sentence, the sight of Masamoto getting his neck snapped by Zeon unfolds right before his eyes. Zeon's golden eyes blaze. His expression remains unchanged despite the blood splattering onto his cheek, his mind echoing with Old Man Pavilsa's warning right before the battle. Pavilsa shouted down from the top of Archilon, "Hey kid, listen closely." Zeon looked up blankly, asking, "Listen to what?" Pavilsa's roar hit the nail on the head. "You're probably more afraid of having to kill a human than fighting a Derank, aren't you?" Pavilsa emphasized in a stern voice. "But remember this well, those bastards are not human." Zeon asked back in shock, "They're not?" Pavilsa's voice rang out decisively. "That's right." Pavilsa exposed the scavengers' atrocities. They kill for fun. They torture and slaughter for absolutely no reason. The old man enunciated every word to rid Zeon of his unnecessary humanity. They take pride in raping women and massacring children. Over 200 people have died at their hands. Do you really think? Zeon takes a cold step forward, his shoe stomping directly into the foul-smelling pool of blood spreading across the sand. Pavilsa's voice continues to echo in his mind. That things like these can even be called human? Enraged, Gawain explodes with a crimson, blazing killing intent swirling around his fists. He charges straight at Zeon, roaring, "You piece of shit!" Beneath the tattered bandages, Gawain's bloodshot eye glares madly. He grits his teeth and hisses, "You dog!" Answering that fury, a barrage of razor-sharp sand drills suddenly rains down from the sky, crashing directly onto Gawain's position to crush him. He unleashes an explosive burst of force, knocking Zeon's attack away, and continues his arrogant taunting. "Is that all?" He reaches out, cursing violently. "You think this garbage is enough to defeat me, you scum?" Standing before Zeon's cold silhouette, Gawain continues to spew vicious threats. "I won't let you die an easy death. I'm going to flay your flesh piece by piece and feed it to the beasts." He maniacally paints a brutal picture, swearing to make the boy listen to his family's screams as they are eaten alive and beg for death. Without letting him finish barking, Zeon coldly calls out, "Hey!" With one hand casually resting on the hilt of his sword, Zeon tilts his head, looking down at the crazed enemy below, and asks coldly, "Are those your final words?" Beneath the bandages, Gawain's eye rolls back, heavily veined with absolute fury. From atop Archilon, the crazy old man Deoden stands with his arms crossed, looking down at the battlefield, the corner of his mouth curling into an incredibly smug smirk. Zeon's hand grips his weapon so tightly that veins bulge prominently. You! Still keeping a light hold on the sword's hilt, Zeon shoots a cold, piercing glare straight at his enemy and casually drops a single phrase, "You trash." Gawain breaks into a cold sweat, veins bulging across his forehead. He grits his teeth and growls bitterly, "Ha! You dare call us trash?" He bitterly recalls Kling's blood-soaked corpse, with the fatal, gaping wound torn right through her abdomen, and his subordinate Masamoto's snapped neck, lying cold and lifeless on the sand. Killing intent surges around the captain once again. He clenches his fists, declaring resolutely, "Both of them were fighters I personally acknowledged. There's no way in hell they'd ever be taken down by some amateur." Suddenly, a terrifying pressure erupts, engulfing Zeon's silhouette. His golden eyes blaze amidst the colossal sand pillar, making Gawain panic and wonder, just what kind of power? A massive sand dragon materializes right behind Zeon, rearing up and roaring, blotting out the sky. Faced with this overwhelming sight, the D-rank tyrant gasps in shock. What the hell is this brat using? Gawain clenches his fists so hard that veins pop out, letting his fiery, explosive aura burn violently around his body in a suffocating silence. His fury reaching its peak, he snaps his head up and screams madly, "I'm not playing around with your cheap tricks anymore. Why don't you show me the real power you're hiding under all that sand?" Zeon's scrawny silhouette glides coldly through tens of thousands of swarming sand drills, completely ignoring the enemy's challenging roars. "If you really are an awakener," cornered amidst the sandstorm, Gawain writhes, defending himself against the razor-sharp spikes flying in from all sides. He strains his neck and screams, "Stop hiding like a rat and step out and face me." Immediately, he unleashes a brutal strike, shattering the sand drills Zeon just threw at him. Channeling all his strength, Gawain furiously roars, "What's your next trick?" His arrogance doesn't last long before his bloodshot eyes widen, absolutely stunned by a completely unexpected development. As the dust clears, Gawain stares in bewilderment into empty space, panicking as he wonders. He vanished. He frantically darts his eyes around searching, gritting his teeth and hissing, "Where is that little brat?" In the very next blink, a wind-tearing sword blitzes straight toward him. With ghostly speed, Zeon closes in from behind, swinging his sword right at the target's back. But it seems this ordinary sword lacks the durability required to slice through the flesh of a D-rank awakener. His slash missing its mark, cold sweat breaks out on Zeon's face. He stares in shock, wondering if the bastard predicted his attack, before frantically muttering, "No, this is..." Beneath the bandages, Gawain's eyes flare with killing intent. He smirks triumphantly and growls, "You're finally in my strike zone." Zeon realizes with bitter dread. He lured me right into a trap. Giving him zero chance to retreat, Gawain stomps his heel hard into the ground, launching himself forward at terrifying speed. Pinning his hand heavily against Zeon's chest, Gawain roars, "You're not even a melee fighter, yet you dare close the distance like this?" Caught completely off guard, Zeon grits his teeth and curses, "Damn it!" Gawain channels a blazing aura into his arm, arrogantly mocking the kid for knowing nothing. Because a single, tiny mistake in battle, he roars savagely, "will cost you your miserable life." Completely immobilized, Zeon helplessly grits his teeth, realizing Gawain's earlier panic was nothing but a feint. Gawain's mouth twists into a cruel smile. He swears to make the kid feel every single blow, roaring, "This one is for Masamoto." With those words, he pours every ounce of his strength into his fist and brings down a devastating blow. The sheer force of the strike pins Zeon brutally into the sand. The explosive impact triggers a shattering shockwave, churning up a massive chunk of the desert under its destructive might. Amidst the blinding dust, Gawain screams like a madman. This is for Kleang, for Elia, for Ezreal. Ignoring his prey's agonizing struggles, the brute continues roaring and venting his fury. For Miraz, for Chavaria, and for Kael. His bloodshot eyes flashing with cruelty, Gawain boasts triumphantly, "Whatever your ability is, it's completely useless once you're locked in my grasp." He crushes Zeon's desperately defending hands, growling with lethal intent. "Blame your own pathetic weakness and die." Showing zero mercy, Gawain raises his blazing fist high, gathering all his strength to deliver the fatal finishing blow. But before the punch can land, the tyrant suddenly freezes in shock, blurting out, "What is this? I was holding him right in my hands." Right beneath him, Zeon's figure dissolves into a swirling sand vortex, smoothly slipping out of the death grip in the nick of time. Gawain snaps his head back in shock, completely missing the thousands of sand grains hovering in the air before him, as he bitterly realizes the truth. He slipped out of his gauntlets to escape, caught off guard by a barrage of incoming sand drills. He struggles to block them while screaming, "You little rat!" Just as he escapes the hold, Zeon spins and delivers a brutal kick, commanding a massive cluster of sand spikes to crash right into the pirate captain. Fresh blood spurts from his mouth. Gawain clutches his chest, stunned as he realizes, "A fatal mistake. I panicked and let him slip away." But the moment he touches his bleeding wound, a gleam of triumph flashes in his bloodshot eyes. He mutters, "But this wound, the power behind it has clearly dropped." He sweeps his arm to deflect the incoming sand spikes, analyzing decisively. His attacks have visibly lost their punch. Those gauntlets were definitely his power amplifiers. Staring at the sand swirling around Zeon, the captain confidently concludes, he must be a wind attribute mutant, a rare type among the magic systems. He's just using the sand to buff his physical damage. He channels power into his legs, preparing to lunge. Convinced he has his opponent figured out, Gawain charges like a mad beast, roaring, "I've seen right through your cheap tricks." His blazing red killing intent flares up violently. He clenches his fists and charges straight at Zeon, mocking arrogantly, "Now that you've lost your gauntlets, you're nowhere near as strong as before." Closing the gap in the blink of an eye, Gawain sneers, "A magic type without an amplifier weapon. You think you can beat a melee type in close combat?" Backed into a corner, Zeon slightly lowers his stance, his dirt-smudged face eerily calm against the enemy's terrifying pressure. However, the moment the charging tyrant's silhouette reflects in his golden eyes, the corners of Zeon's mouth suddenly twist into an incredibly sinister, bone-chilling smirk. The instant that wicked smile blooms, a massive sand spear unexpectedly tears through the air, piercing clean through Gawain's back. The chest-rending agony causes Gawain's bloodshot eyes to roll back. He wonders in absolute panic, "It aimed for my back?" Amidst the sandstorm, Zeon reaches out to manipulate the flow of matter. His blood-soaked face breaks into a manic, triumphant grin as he mutters, "That bastard finally let his guard down." Gawain grabs the sand spear lodged in his chest, coughing up mouthfuls of fresh blood as he roars madly, "You son of a bitch! You dare use that same old trick on me?" But right in the middle of his fury, the captain's pupils suddenly shrink as a horrifying realization hits him. Wait! He's not wearing the gauntlets right now. He sinks into sheer bewilderment, cold sweat pouring down like rain as he tells himself, without an amplification item, this level of power is impossible. Staring at the tons of sand violently coiling around him, Gawain frantically denies reality. There's no way a magic-type awakener can channel this much raw power through sand. Before he can finish his denial, another razor-sharp sand spike surges from the ground, skewering him and making the tyrant choke on his words. "This brat! Don't tell me he's—" Beneath the tattered bandages, Gawain's face drains of all color. He grits his teeth and mutters, "No, that can't possibly be true." He trembles, his mind flooded with terror at a possibility beyond comprehension. That kind of sand-controlling ability. Suddenly looking down at his feet, Gawain is horrified to see the sand sinking, forming a bottomless black sinkhole. Fresh blood pooling at the corner of his mouth, Gawain's eyes widen in absolute despair, terrifyingly realizing that this is a power capable of manipulating the very world itself. Clutching his heavily bandaged face, he screams in absolute denial. This kind of power shouldn't even exist. A barrage of massive sand pillars from the earth envelopes Gawain's battered body, ruthlessly swallowing him whole. Watching from atop the fortress, Old Man Pavilsa pushes up his monocle, exclaiming in stunned disbelief, "That kid can manipulate sand." Unable to hide his astonishment, the old man remarks to Deoden, "This entire world is his weapon and his shield. I truly can't believe what I'm seeing." Pavilsa's sharp, aged eyes reevaluate the entire battle, silently admiring the kid's cunning. This brat used his unique nature to bait the enemy into lowering their guard, patiently waiting for the perfect opening. Recalling Gawain's furious face, Pavilsa understands perfectly well. This scavenger had far too much combat experience. If Zeon had fought him head-on from the start, his life would have definitely been in danger. Back on the battlefield, Zeon drops to his knees, coughing up mouthfuls of fresh blood, but Pavilsa's stunned voice continues echoing. The experience required to make such razor-sharp decisions. That kid grasped it all purely through instinct. It's proof of the absurd truth that he evolved and learned all of that right in the life-or-death crucible of battle. Breaking into a cold sweat, his eyes trembling with awe, Pavilsa whispers, "That kid isn't just a mere tiger cub. That much is certain." Still reeling from the overwhelming display of power, the bespectacled old man turns to look at Deoden's utterly calm and unfazed demeanor. While Deoden stands tall and proud with arms crossed and his great sword on his back, Pavilsa can't hide his extreme shock as he demands, "Deoden, just where the hell did you find a monster like that?"